Hi everybody, a very warm welcome this morning to our coverage of the very important third test match over in Ahmedabad between India and England. My goodness me, what a bad day it was for England and what a good day for India yesterday. The newly named Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad has already proven to be a difficult place for English visitors. A reminder, England bowled out for 112, India in response 99 for 3. Key moment possibly for England right at the end of the day's play, getting rid of Virat Kohli. That's such a moral boost for the dressing room and such an important moment in the balancing act of things. England can look back on the day and feel they at least got something from it at the very end there. Had they not got Kohli out, they surely would have felt that they'd got nothing from the day at all. So there's an awful lot for us to talk about. We've got half an hour leading into the start of play, which will be 9 o'clock local time, and alongside me as ever is Darren Gough. We'll be joined shortly by Steve Harmison and Kevin Peterson as well. But Goughy, if we start with you, everybody was pretty realistic and tough on England's batting yesterday. On reflection overnight, is that judgment correct?
Of course it's correct. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everyone who's listening. You win the toss and bat. In any conditions, you expect to get the best of the pitch, unless it's... Well, to be start, you win the toss and bat. It means you think the conditions are in your favour, right?
In the subcontinent.
Yeah, in the subcontinent. Yeah. So it's not like you're going in on a pitch that's going to be damp and wet and green and seaming all over the shop, and you're looking to get 100 plus. But for this one, you would have expected to get a decent score on the board. And the way they started with Zach Crawley, I thought, who was outstanding, by the way, played some magnificent shots, especially through mid-wicket. But the rest of the batting lineup just showed a lack of technique. And when you talk about Axar Patel and how good he's been for India since he's come into the side, and given that partnership, him and Ashwin together have been excellent, the amount of dismissals from straight balls was remarkable, and that's you've got to then question the technique, whether you're getting your head too far across or whatever it may be, Mark. We can talk about stuff like that as the day goes on. It just wasn't good enough, and to get dismissed for 112 on the first day of a test match in India is not good enough.
Is the phrase "they were like rabbits caught in the headlights" about right?
Yeah, and I think it's been a collection probably of everything. Considering we've got such a good record in the subcontinent, we've done well, haven't we? In Sri Lanka, this last tour, we've just gone and beat them 2-0. We win the first test, we're full of confidence. But the team is changing all the time. Nobody's been able to get in any sort of rhythm, and we're relying on players coming in to a side who have been sat at home or walking the dog in England. And then suddenly they're on a plane, 5 days quarantine, and playing in a test match. It's not ideal preparation, let's be honest about it. It's not ideal, and it's shown in the last two performances. The best partnership, I think, was between Folkes and Pope, wasn't it? Unless you bring Moeen Ali's slog at the end of the last test match, and now he's gone home.
And people are talking about, well, first test match, England win it, Joe Root makes a double 100. What's so different?
Well, the way we're playing it now, I think they've gone away, and we talked last night, me and you and Army, about the difference their spinners have kind of got to a point now where they've got natural variation, but they're also coming over and round the wicket and changing. They look as though they've looked at every single batsman and found a way how they're going to get them out in this series. And it wasn't just a case of just rocking up, bowling left arm, round the wicket, and just keep doing it. They were changing. You were coming over, coming round, and it was same with Ashwin as well.
And they didn't have Axar Patel in the first test. That's a fair point. I think he's a better bowler than anybody thought he was, and they were able to play around Joe Root, who got 200. They haven't been able to play around him in the matches since. Okay, thank you for that. Fascinating start. Much to develop in conversation. But before we begin that conversation, let's look back at yesterday.
Here is Ishant bowls. Back of the length, edge, taken by Rohit Sharma at second slip. Ishant has the early breakthrough.
Axar Patel is into the attack. Left arm around the wicket. First ball, Johnny Bairstow taken on the pad. Out LBW. In comes Ishant. Two slips in the gully waiting. It's the inducker. Clipped into the leg side by Zach Crawley. Axar is in again. That is short. Punched off the back foot by Crawley. And that's another boundary. And Crawley has 50.
Well, take a bow.
Ashwin in. Root taken on the pad. That's very close to LBW. Given. England 74 for 3.
And there's Bing Bim. Yes, LBW. It sort of had to be. Crawley half forward. The ball runs in with the arm. And I think Ben Stokes is saying, yeah, it doesn't look good, Zach.
Here's Ashwin round the wicket. Bowled him! He's hit the top of off stump. Ollie Pope's been done by the straight honour. Big appeal for leg before wicket. It might be a bit high. Up goes the finger.
This is horrible for England. Horrible. It's a nightmare.
Akshar Patel in his stance picks the bat up, bowled him. Just late on it, that's all. Quicker, smarter, better.
England are 93 for 7.
Akshar Patel in. Plays the sweep, does Stuart Broad. Gets the top edge. Into the deep. Caught. Akshar Patel has 5.
Hooks waits, taps the ground, goes back to cut, he's bowled in. And India have got a strong position in the game because they've bowled England out for next to nothing here.
There was poor technique. It just goes down to poor technique.
Rohit off the back foot on this occasion. Oh, what a shot! Broad on his way once again. It goes full, and Rohit Sharma. Well, that is class. The man is class. Archer for the final ball of the over. Oh, Shubman Gill's gone back. Had a hack at this one. Flies up in the air. Where's it going to land? It's going to land in the hands of Zach Crawley. Oh, Jack Leach has gone in. Taken Pujara on the pad. Given out LBW. Stokes down the leg side. Rohit Sharma clips into the onside and will have another 50 to his name. He goes to 50 from 63 deliveries.
Here is Leach again. Bowled him off the bottom edge, looking to cut it down to third man. Virat Kohli cannot believe what he's done. He smashes his bat onto his helmet.
Manners, it's that straight ball again. It's the straight ball again.
Yes, the devastation of the straight ball yesterday. Rohit Sharma unbeaten with 57. Shubman Gill caught Crawley bowled Archer for 11. Cheteshwar Pujara, LBW, Leach no score. Virat Kohli bowled Leach 27, and Ajinkya Rahane just gone to the crease, faced 3 balls, unbeaten with a single. So 99 for 3 in reply to England's 112. I don't care how good you are, that is a long way back in a game of cricket that stretches out in front of them today. England have to have a remarkable morning. Steve Harmison and Kevin Peterson now join Darren Gough and I, and we've got what have we got? We've got about 20 minutes until play gets underway. Let's start on England's batting because it's the subject of all the newspapers and every comment this morning. You were very strong in your criticism, KP, saying that there was nothing you saw yesterday that suggested to you England could cope.
Yeah, I don't think there was. When you get bowled out for 112 on day 1 of a test match in India, I don't think that there were too many positives. Here, Goffey said that Crawley played well. Crawley played the seam as well. I mean, if you talk about batting in the subcontinent, when you want to bat as a subcontinent, you are ring any batter that's ever batted in the subcontinent. Say, what would you like to face and when would you like to face it? Seamers on day 1. When the spinners start to come in, then there's a different story.
But he did what he could do.
Absolutely,
and he did it well, and that was great. That he was in form and fluent. I think.
Absolutely, 100%. I think that he played, and I said that yesterday. Some of the shots that he played yesterday against the seamers would be some of the shots that he looks back in his career, and in 10 years' time, he thinks that was one of the best shots I ever played in my career. That first shot that he hit through mid-wicket, absolutely majestic. I don't know how he did it and batted so well.
Yeah, he did. But he missed a relatively straight ball when the spinners came on.
Absolutely.
And that was the problem that a lot of the players had. Can you explain that?
It's a symptom of poor technique. It's rabbit in headlights. It's also how big this game was made up to be. Dealing with pressure, the weight of expectation. All these things are external matters that good players, great players need to put to the side and concentrate at the job at hand. They need to be able to take their practice into the middle. And you didn't see practice into the middle yesterday. It was the opening of a new stadium, 110,000. All the dignitaries were there. National anthems, everything happening all around them. The lead up to the test match. Players going home, players coming back. I just think that they got caught up.
A crowd, 40,000 people in the ground, proper atmosphere in India that creates intensity. Why is there such a big thing about spin? In the way that we used to talk in awe about the West Indian fast bowlers, for example, we talk in awe of having to bat against these spinners,
in the
particularly
subcontinent.
these two at the moment, we have to say, together in India. More than just the subcontinent, in India, isn't it? We cope well in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, different level of spinner. Completely different.
That's my point.
Yeah, completely different level of spinner. So when you're going to go to India, we played against the Harbhajans, the Kumblays, the Ashwins, we played Ojas. I mean, the great spinners that have come out of India. There's great fast bowlers as well that have come out of Pakistan. But a lead up into a test series like this, playing against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, gave some batters a hell of a lot of confidence. But then England sends Bairstow home, and he turns up after Goffey's just said walking the dog for 2 weeks in England, and he's expected to come out and perform here, batting at number 3 for England.
Having had a long rest.
I mean, I want to try and be positive about today. Now, I think, is the lead up to be positive about today. And can England get back into this test match? And then I think, we can leave the rest of that for another time.
Okay, let's bring Steve Harmison in for the first time this morning. Morning, Harmy.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everyone.
How does a bowler feel, or a bowling attack feel? I mean, this age-old problem of one half of the dressing room blaming the other, but when a side bats badly, gets given the great chance of batting well by winning the toss and choosing to bat first on an acceptable surface for the first morning, how does that bleed its way through the dressing room?
It's quite tough. You've got to try and put that to one side and hopefully try and get your team back in the game. I look at the experience of Broad and Anderson. They must have thought at 112 all out, thinking, right, we're going to cop this, because at the end of the day, when we get beat, if we get beat, it's going to be a lot of talk about Broad and Anderson combination and selection, and all that'll come, where really, in theory, I thought yesterday England bowled very well. I thought the bowlers that bowled and performed on that wicket, if you were asked at the start of play to have India under 100, 3 wickets down, Kohli back in the hutch, you'd take that. They'd take that every time in India. So I thought England bowled reasonably well to get themselves not back in the game, because I don't think you can recover too much from 112 all out. But again, like what the guys have been saying, I think the crowd played a huge part in the atmosphere and the pressure to where England ended up yesterday. I think there was a lot of rabbit in the headlights. There was a lot of very much thinking after the event, and trying to sort of. England didn't look to be proactive with their movement, didn't look to be coming right the way forward when they were batting, going all the way back when it just seemed as though they were always that half a gear behind, half a step behind in everything that they did. And I don't think and I think that a lot of that is down to pressure. And I think the one thing that has been different, there was 10,000 at Chennai. There's 40-odd thousand there yesterday, and I think that's huge, because a lot of these players haven't played under that.
But isn't that what it's about, Goffey? Playing in front of those people? Isn't that where you really find yourself?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think a lot of these players can't wait to play in front of a big crowd. I used to love walking out knowing there was going to be the biggest crowd you could possibly play in front of. We are there to entertain. Some guys will freeze. I think it's natural. Not everybody's the same. Some people will excel under a crowd. We've seen Ben Stokes. Whenever there's a big game, he tends to rock up and just deliver, doesn't he? As soon as there's a big crowd, it's a big game. But so far in this series, can we see a series where Ben Stokes doesn't come to the party? At the minute, he hasn't. And I'll be gobsmacked if we get to the end of this series he hasn't delivered with either bat or ball in one of the test matches. But so far, it's been a quiet winter for Ben, hasn't it? Yeah. And we need him to come to the party. We saw him bowl a little bit yesterday. But there's going to be lots of talk of this. It all depends what happens today. England are not out of it. That wicket last night gives them an opening, Mark. It gives them a sniff. It gives them something to stand round this morning and be positive about. Right, look, we've just got Virat Kohli out. We need a positive hour this morning. We can get into their tail. They might get a 80 lead, 90 lead, but we've still got a chance. Positivity is going to play a massive part of the first hour today.
Big appeal for leg before wicket. It might be a bit high. Up goes the finger.
This is horrible for England. Horrible. It's a nightmare.
Folkswaits taps the ground. Goes back to Cuthbert's bowled in. And India have got a strong position in the game because they've bowled England out for next to nothing here.
If we'd have got a few more runs, things would look a bit different from our bowling lineup, and we'd have helped our bowlers out a bit more if we'd have got 250, and if they're 100 for free and we had 250 on the board, we'd be well on top. But unfortunately, we didn't get the runs, and put our bowlers under a bit of pressure today, and hopefully they can get us out a bit tomorrow.
That was Zach Crawley speaking. Very difficult for him to comment on others. He certainly played well against the Seamers early on, as KP has just pointed out. And before I turn to Neil Manthorpe and Jared Kimber, I've just got one more question for KP. And that is, a few people have suggested overnight that England should have taken the attack to the Indian spinners more than they did. Is that a fair comment?
It's very easy to take attack to the spinners if you've got a solid defence, if you've got a game plan, if the weight of expectation isn't holding you down and your shoulders are not where they should be, you're not picking up length. It's very easy to say, just come down the wicket and whack them. It's a lot more difficult to do.
To do it, yeah, all right, thank you. Let's turn to Jared and Neil. What do you got for us, boys?
Well, I'm going to go with the renaming of the stadium, because yesterday we heard that the Sardar Patel Stadium has now been renamed the Narendra Modi Stadium after the current Indian Prime Minister, which is interesting. I wouldn't normally go down the history route, but Sardar Patel was known as the Iron Man of India, and he played a huge role in campaigning for independence. He was also a very, very modest man. He was the first Home Minister, and he worked alongside Mahatma Gandhi. He eschewed all things materialistic, which stands to reason, of course, then that consequently he particularly campaigned against any money, public money, being spent on statues or anything that commemorated men or people. So he believed that everything should be, socially spread around amongst the people. So it stands to reason that the world's tallest statue was constructed within a couple of kilometres of the Sardar Patel Stadium. It's 597 feet tall. This is particularly what he didn't want in his life. And then, of course, the world's biggest cricket stadium was named after him. So rather than Narendra Modi grandiosely having the stadium named after himself, he was simply protecting the legacy of Sardar Patel. So that's why it's now called the Narendra Modi Stadium. Jared, let's move on to the cricket. England specifically prepared for spin. I mean, they knew it was going to turn, and they failed. Why is that?
It's really quite interesting. They came into this series. They even had the warm up in Sri Lanka. So if you count all the stats so far, Joe Root is averaging 79 when facing the spinning ball on this tour. Joss Butler was averaging 81. The rest of England as a team are averaging 17.5 against the spinning ball. That's how bad it has been for England so far. And most of these problems are things that we kind of knew about coming in, like Dom Sibley having trouble with left arm finger spin. That's been going on pretty much since he came. I think we talked about that in Sri Lanka when he made his debut and we were commentating there. Ben Stokes, we've talked about him and Ashwin specifically, but also off spin has always been a problem. Rory Burns in 23 tests has been dismissed 14 times by an off spinner, which is ridiculous to go out to do anything other than right arm seam that many times is almost unheard of. And Zach Crawley is currently averaging 9 on this series against the spinning ball and 14 against left arm finger spin in Test cricket so far. Those are all things that they knew coming in. They just haven't been able to overcome them. One of the more interesting ones is Ollie Pope, who has been struggling against off spin and left arm finger spin. Generally, all the other guys, it's one kind of spin, spinning away. But with Ollie Pope, he's been going out to both. But it's a huge concern considering all the effort they put into this series, I think.
You've worked with teams. You have that kind of analysis. When you have that kind of evidence, the writing is on the wall. It looks bad. What do you do? Suppress it? What do you do? I mean, listen, guys, you're all terrible against spin.
No, I think
here are the numbers to prove it.
I think in that case, they would have been working with the analysts and the coaches directly, and they would have been working on these problems. There's nowhere to hide. You can't hide Rory Burns' record. He's going to know that 100% what is going on there. So, they're going to have to work on it together. I think KP wants to chat about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Am I live? Yeah, I think I'm live. I think my mic is up. We had a meeting in 2011-12 pre-going to India when we got horribly hammered in Dubai by Pakistan. And they brought out examples of Rahul Dravid, of some other great players of spin in the subcontinent. We sat for a couple of hours as a batting unit, and we talked about the strike zones on where you need to hit spinners. Not hit as in smack, hit as in play, and how you need to play them, and where the great players of spin play. And it was amazing to see the strike points. A lot of players in in England, in South Africa, in Australia, because the ball skids onto you when you bat, can just plant their front feet. When you plant your front foot, you can play with your hands because it just skids onto your bat. In India, in the subcontinent, the ball stops and the ball turns. You cannot plant your front foot, as we saw all day yesterday, and think that your hands are going to get you out of trouble, because 9 times out of 10 they won't. They might on the odd occasion get you out of trouble, but 9 times out of 10 you won't. So when we got shown the analysis on, say, a Rahul Dravid, where he hits the ball, Rahul Dravid hit the ball within a foot, half a foot on his back from the stumps, but then when he came forward, he hit the ball about 6 feet outside his popping crease. Rahul Dravid never played a ball of spin in line with the stumps or in and around the stumps from the popping crease.
And just to add to that, that has been Joe Root's plan as well. So Joe Root has gone 100%
Joe Root was
on
in that meeting with us on that tour, and I spent hours and hours and hours with Root and Bairstow in particular in Ahmedabad before the first test match of that series in 2012, where we used drills to make sure that we drilled in a fashion and in a manner to be able to pick length and play spin like that.
Well, you're quite frustrated, KP. Mark Nicholas will. I mean, I can understand.
Well, I'm not frustrated at all. I'm not frustrated at all. I just say that the preparation has been there. I think there's more to it than technique in this test match, and I think the guys are talking about big crowds, a big stadium, all the dignitaries, winning the toss. It's 1-1. There's more to it.
But Kev, they play, I don't disagree necessarily, but these guys play in front of big crowds. There's a full house every time they play in England. Ben Stokes plays in the World Cup final, plays one of the greatest one-day innings
in
ever
England,
played
at
to win
Lords,
it.
been playing here for
big crowd.
In England, playing at Lords, absolutely no drama. No matter, we played Australia here in that test match in the test series in 2005, my first test match, 2005 at Lords, but you've got your home comforts. You know the drive to the ground. You know the hotel. You know all the people in and around everywhere. The crowd is supporting you. It is completely different when you travel to the subcontinent. Completely. It's a different way of life.
Fascinating. Okay, thank you. Thank you to Goffey and to Harmy as well. I'm sorry we didn't get back to you, but there really is so much to talk about. The players are making their way to the middle. We seem to say this about every session, just about in every test match, but it certainly applies here. This is a very important first session of play, and to handle it and bring you, I'm sure, plenty of entertainment and expert coverage are Steve Harmison, Kevin Peterson, and first up, Neil Manthorpe.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. So the batsmen are making their way out to the middle, and because Virat Kohli was out within minutes of the close yesterday, Ajinkya Rahane will accompany Rohit Sharma to the crease. Rohit has 57. He made 161 of the most glorious match-shaping and ultimately match-winning runs in the first innings of the second test in Chennai. And we don't know how low-scoring this might. India might go on and make 400. But if it does turn out to be a low-scoring test match, then already Rohit Sharma, with the top score in the game, has made a significant impact with his 57, and you wouldn't bet against him going on and adding some more. Jimmy Anderson will start first up. No surprise about that, Steve Harmison.
No surprise at all. England's best bowler of all time, and he needs to make early inroads. Hopefully, we all agree on is starting in the subcontinent is very difficult. England will be hoping that they'll be able to get an early breakthrough, because they need an early breakthrough. And just a little bit to add what Kevin and the guys have been saying. We're talking about a crowd situation. There's been no crowds for a year now. It's been a long time without crowds, and I think that maybe's just startled England to put a little bit more meat on the bones. But England have to start properly. Anderson's got the ball.
And the first delivery is pushed away defensively. He looked absolutely rock solid, Ajinkya Rahane. I think just to add to what KP was saying as well, is the lift that you get from your home crowd is matched in equal opposite proportion by the intimidation that you can feel from a hostile crowd. I mean, and it's not hostile. I mean, it can be in Australia. It can
Just
be, it's
loud.
actually a hostile
It's
crowd.
loud.
Yeah.
It's noise. It's something that's in you all the time.
Here is Jimmy Anderson once again, in swinger to Ajinkya Rahane, pushes it up towards mid-on. Hostile, I don't like the word about Indian crowds, because they're not hostile.
No, they're not hostile. And if we could play 3 minutes, 3 minutes, a minute of coverage from yesterday when Joe Root paddled Akshar Patel for 4, and then he was able to manipulate the strike. I mean, as soon as he hit that boundary, deathly silence. Deathly silence, you can hear a pin drop. Everyone thinking Joe Root's off again. And that's the contrast. At least somebody in Australia be getting abused.
Here's Jimmy Anderson, and that's pushed up towards Jack Leach at mid-off, no run.
There'd be vocals, there'd be all sorts of things happening. But in the subcontinental and in India in particular, it is just so high and so low. And you've got to deal with that as a player, because you as a player, if you want longevity in your career, can't go too high and can't go too low. You've got to try and stay in the middle ground. Somehow.
I was once asked about my experiences of crowds, and here's Jimmy Anderson again up to the crease now, and has blocked defensively up towards mid-on. And I was thinking, you instinctively think of the noise that you hear at the Bangabandhu Stadium in Dakar, or the really incredibly intense. But I remember actually the noise that came to mind was the noise that 50,000 people made when Sachin Tendulkar was dismissed. It was chilling, absolutely chilling. You would think it's impossible. Here is Jimmy Anderson again, good leave, just outside the off stump. India remain 99 for 3. But I mean, if you put any 50,000 people, if you just got a crowd of 50,000 people and said, right, all be quiet, it's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely right.
To be fair, the 50,000 people when Tendulkar got out, it was normally footprints because they were leaving the ground. They were off. I've only come to see
a few
Sachin.
minutes later, yeah.
I've gone. I've had enough. I'm not coming to watch anybody else.
Here's Jimmy Anderson once again to complete the first over of the morning, and Rahane back and across, pushes it up to Jack Leach.
But that's so true, isn't it? It really is. It is. It's as if there's no one there. No one there. It's as if they're not allowed to emotionally react to Tendulkar getting out, or Sehwag, or Laxman, or Virat Kohli now. Or if Rohit Sharma gets out, or Ajinkya Rahane gets out here, you can hear the murmurs now. If there's a wicket, just listen.
Well, that's a memo to the producers. Get on to the effect. When the wicket last night, who was it? Was it Pujara?
Virat. Or
Pujara gets out, and there is deathly silence. And Pujara's now, 5 yards off the square, and it's now erupted because Virat's walking out. It's just, chalk and cheese, completely different. And it is just noise. It is noise. You know, we don't understand a word they're saying. Kevin goes out to bat. You've got 3 fielders outside, in and around the crease. You've got a wicketkeeper giving it all that. You've got a crowd going. It's noise because you don't understand a word it's said. You talk about sledging. Now, I remember people ask me, why were you not a big sledger? I was like, my teammates don't even understand the word I'm saying sometimes, never mind the opposition.
Well, you also weren't smart enough to sledge.
Here we go. Here we go.
Jack Leach will bowl the second over of the morning, and there's a slip and a short leg, and the first delivery is left alone outside the off stump by Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, we weren't the brightest, our dumb fast bowlers, but we won test matches for people, so...
Not we. Just, we're talking about you, yeah, Stevie. Not we. Don't bring the plural in.
It's a good job you could bat, Kevin.
This is true.
Here's Leach once again, and down the wicket. A little half step out of this crease by Rohit Sharma, and he pushes it up towards mid-off and scampers through for a single to bring up the 100 for India.
And a lot of people now, Rohit Sharma's just come down the wicket to Jack Leach, and he's just pushed wide of mid-off, and he's rotated the strike. Mark Nicholas asked me earlier about why people haven't been positive. That's positive, but it's with control. So if you've got control, you're able to still be positive. You can't come down. You don't get Rohit Sharma come down and try and loft him straight over mid-off for 6 straight away in the morning. But that control, that ability to rotate strike, that's what England didn't do yesterday.
Leach once again. There's a man on the drive well, he's actually silly mid-off now. Forward gets taken on the pad, and may have been in some inside edge. Ben Folkes turns and sprints after it, but the ball has popped up into the air and then fallen to ground.
I also think, Manners, as well, and Kev knows more because he scored load more runs in the subcontinent, you have to earn the right to score runs, which means you've got to get in. Yesterday there was only 3 batsmen in England's 11 faced 30 balls or more. Now that's not earning the right to get in. That's not earning the right. You've got to get over the hard stuff to then make it easier for yourself, and I think that was England's problem as well.
100 for 3, India. Rohit Sharma 58. Ajinkya Rahane back on strike on 1, and I think he's played at that outside the off stump, and it spun past the outside edge into the gloves of Ben Folkes. That's almost a chilling statistic, isn't it? A couple of batsmen faced more than 30 balls. One of whom was Ben Folkes, who was batting with the tail, batting with the bowlers. Here is Leach once again. Short attempted pull shot from Ajinkya Rahane, and it bounced more than he expected, and into the gloves of Ben Folkes. So Ajinkya Rahane grins now. I'm not sure that I've played the right shot to that ball.
Oh, looking in at this wicket, it may not be a day 3, gentlemen. This is bouncing, turning.
Here is Leach once again. Ajinkya Rahane pushes that out to silly mid-off, no run.
And I'm laughing because I'm just looking at this thinking, no thank you. No thank you. My goodness, bounce, turn. Rahane wanted to hit that through mid-wicket. A perfect cut shot. Field placing, I suppose he's looking 4-3-2-1, which is what these great Indian players do. They're looking for high scoring options. Looking to put pressure on the bowler. They're always looking to score. Sweeper out on the offside, so he's thinking, no, I want more than just one. There wouldn't be anyone on the mid-wicket boundary. You'll have square leg up. So Ajinkya Rahane is thinking leg side and was short enough to play that shot. But there is bounce and big turn.
Yeah, I'm just thinking spin at both ends is what is being called out for here, but England only have the one frontline spinner, so it'll be Jimmy Anderson to continue. By the way, if you're wondering how on earth the game might finish on day 2, you're thinking that, well, there's still 27 wickets left in the game. Here is Jimmy Anderson once again, and that's pushed up towards extra cover straight to the fielder, and there's no run. But 27 wickets don't need to fall for this game to end. If India, let's say, there were 13 wickets on the first day, and if India, let's say, are bowled out around lunchtime with a lead of around 100, England could be bowled out in 3 hours. I mean, they were bowled out in 48 overs. That's only just over 3 hours in the first innings. India could be left with 50 odd to chase by the end of the day. I mean, we have seen Test matches finish in 2 days, not many. Jimmy Anderson in once again, punched off the back foot. You don't very often get a bit of width from Jimmy Anderson, not enough to play the back foot punch through point. Rohit Sharma is one of the best exponents of that shot I reckon I've ever seen.
A little bit of width from Jimmy Anderson, shorter in length, just sat up.
There's a little off-cutter.
Little off-cutter, yeah. It just sat up a little bit, but it was a fantastic shot. This guy is some player. When he gets in, he's absolutely beautiful to watch. He looks as though he's got so much time in the world. It's like in slow motion he's batting.
He does actually have ridiculous amounts of time. When he's in form, I have to say. He can look a bit... Here's Jimmy Anderson once again. Rohit Sharma comes forward, pushes it up to Jack Leach again at mid-arm. When he's not in form, he can look quite flat-footed. But he's, he's striking it absolutely beautifully at the moment.
Both teams have batted. England's obviously batted. India are batting. You're having a look at the pitch at the moment. We're seeing spin, we're seeing bounce. India went strong on spin bowlers in their lineup. England went fast bowler heavy.
Jimmy Anderson in once again, another punch off the back foot through to the point boundary for 4 more. Magnificent from Rohit Sharma. Jimmy Anderson is using his full repertoire of skills. He's looking to bowl off cutters, he's trying to get that ball to grip in the pitch and stop, and well, it's not working at the moment to Rohit Sharma.
And I suppose when you see a shot like this and you see 2 of them in the over, the question, have England got their team right?
Yeah, I take that, and I think that is a valid point.
Jimmy Anderson once again. It's driven down the ground, and Jimmy Anderson gets his foot on it and manages to take the pace off and actually deflects it to Stuart Broad at mid-off.
But you can't legislate for getting bowled out for 112, no matter what team you pick. England could have picked 2 spinners, and them spinners would have been Muralitharan and Warney.
Fair point.
They ain't winning from here if you only get bowled out for 112. And
Fair point.
it's England's mindset game plan was to go win the toss, bat, and then try and control the game by declaration and bowl and seamers when the lights suited for us. You just
Win the toss, bat.
Win the toss.
You only have 7 batters.
Yeah, they fluffed the lines. They gambled on an extra on their best bowlers.
Jimmy Anderson to the crease once again, bowls to Rohit Sharma. He's on 66 and he blocks that one out to short cover, and there's no run. I just don't think England were expecting, you know, Joe Root said at the toss, we know the pitch will turn at some stage, and I just think they were shocked yesterday by how much turn there was on the first day. I don't mean that as an excuse.
I don't think you can be shocked with the amount of spin there is on day one. It's going to spin. You're in the subcontinent, you're in India, it's red soil. It's going to spin. But it's the mindset, and that's why I don't think, when you talk about the batting, and it's more than just practice, it's more than technique. It's a mindset. And I don't think England have taken the correct mindset into this series. Haven't picked their best team, in and out, guys coming in, guys coming out, doing all sorts of things, picking the wrong team, picking 3 fast bowlers for a test match in India. There's more to it than technique, there's more to it than practice. It's a mindset, and the mindset has been wrong.
Jack Leach into Ajinkya Rahane, and that one slides off the full face of his bat and trickles past the off stump. A bit of momentum on that delivery. You're listening to commentary of the third test between England and India here on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times as our backers. Here is Leach once again, right up into the block hole and pushed out towards Dom Sibley at mid-wicket, and there's no run. The Sunday Times, the Times correspondents, of course, none other than the multi-award winning former England captain Michael Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook. Sweep shot from Ajinkya Rahane, bottom edge possibly down into the ground, and it's collected by Ben Stokes at slip. Stokes bowled 3 overs yesterday evening, quite experimental overs I thought, and quite costly as well. 19 runs coming from them, but I think he was looking to bowl some grippers and trying to get again the ball to stop in the pitch, and in the absence of a second frontline spinner, here's Leach once more, and Ajinkya Rahane nudges it out on the offside. The seamers have got to try and use the pitch in the way that a second spinner would. So in other words, you saw Jimmy Anderson
bowl fast spinners?
Well, it's what Jimmy Anderson was trying to bowl cutters, wasn't he?
It's what Axar Patel did.
Grippers.
Well, no, they're arm balls. He's bowling at around 85, 90 kilometres per hour. Fast bowlers are bowling at 130, 137.
Leach in and swept again by Rahane off the bottom edge. Stuart Broad's chasing, but he's not going to get there. It's gone very fine down to the boundary foam triangles and into them, and England have had their score matched. India are 112 for 3.
I mean, how difficult would it have been if a captain had said to you, Harmy, you bowled in the 140s. Steve, I need you to run in here for a session and just bowl off cutters.
And give it to somebody else.
There we go.
The
there we go. Absolutely. But that's exactly what. But you guys are saying that that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You cannot ask Broad, Anderson, and not Jofra Archer to run in and bowl fast off cutters now. You can't do it.
No, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And it comes back to, I do think there's a wider issue here. That
it's not cricket, it's mindset.
Mindset, but from an England selection point of view, it just shows you how sort of threadbare our spin department is, because we ask a guy who we haven't played for 18 months to steer after one test match. We've got a guy who's took 17 wickets at 22, and we don't want to pick him. It tells you we haven't got a great deal in the cupboard.
That's a fair point.
I wasn't thinking that the captain would ask the seamers to bowl cutters. I would have thought that a certain type of seamer, and not a Steve Harmison or a Jofra Archer, certainly. But I would think that you think.
How productive was Broad the other day? 75-mile-an-hour cutters keepers up.
Whipped away through the onside, down towards that backward square leg. They go through for a single. Well, yes, exactly. Not very is the answer.
Exactly right. So it's difficult. It's hard to do. It means they haven't picked the right players for the surface.
Indeed not. India lead now by 1 with 7 wickets in hand. And to be absolutely honest, they have been largely untroubled through the first 20 minutes against Jimmy Anderson and against Jack Leach, even though some balls have really turned and bounced and gripped, and Jimmy Anderson's trying to use the surface in whatever way that he can. He is one of the most skillful seam bowlers of all time. If anybody can get the ball to grip and stop and maybe just try and deceive the batsman, driving too early, then it is Jimmy Anderson, but he's not managed to do so far.
No, he hasn't, and it's early in the morning, finding each other's feet. But how well has Rohit Sharma looked? He's earned the right. The way he performed last night in the lights for his team, maybe seaming around and swinging first 6 or 7 overs before that dinner break. He'd feel right now, this is my time to cash in.
Here is Jimmy Anderson once more, and it's pushed away defensively towards mid-on. Did you see the way Jimmy Anderson was standing at the top of his run-up looking at the ball? It was like he didn't know, he was trying to, it was like he hadn't seen it before. He was staring at it.
He's probably looking at it and thinking, will you please do something for me? Manners, I was more worried about Jimmy Anderson's face when Jinky Rahane showed him the full face of the bat and blocked it straight back down to him. The look on his face is complete disdain, and as to say, well, what am I going to do now?
Jimmy Anderson in once again, and Rahane, it shows again the same full face of the bat, which looks unusually wide.
We were playing a test match in New Zealand, and I don't know when it was, and there was a batter called Jamie Howe, and Ryan Sidebottom ran up, and it was the test match where Ryan Sidebottom got a hat-trick, and he was in New Zealand, he was number 3, and he played the most beautiful forward defence, the most beautiful. And when City looked at him, he said, "Get past that." Next ball he knocked him over and he picked up a hat-trick, and it just brought me back, but it looked so similar, that forward defensive again.
Anderson in again, blocked by Rahane, no run.
It looked just so similar, the full maker's name, get past that.
Yeah, that tends to happen as a bowler. You're thinking, right, a bit like what Tim Payne and the Ashwin argument was. I can't wait to get you back to England. Can't wait to get you to Old Trafford. Can't wait to get you to Lords or something like that. It is an absolute featherbed, and you're just thinking, what am I going to do now?
113 for 3. India lead by 1. Jinky Rahane has 6 from 22. Rohit Sharma has 66 from 90. Here's Jimmy Anderson, punched off the back foot, out through the offside. Stuart Broad chases, and he'll keep them down. Oh no, they're coming back for a second, and that changed their mind. Hamilton, 2008, Ryan Sidebottom's hat-trick. What did you think of Hamilton?
I love New Zealand.
I love
Hamilton. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Oh, it's gorgeous. What a place. What a place. Hamilton's spectacular. Napier. Wellington was my favourite big city. Dunedin on the same level as Brisbane. Not very good.
Dunedin, fresh salmon swimming in the harbour. It's just extraordinary. Here is Jimmy Anderson once again looking for the in-swinger. And he went a little wide on the crease there and angled that one in, but there's precious little happening through the air. I've seen very, very little, a tiny bit of shape into the right-handers, but barely anything. Jimmy's scuffing and kicking at the crease now again, which caused so many problems yesterday, but I think there's just general frustration in that.
Fresh salmon swimming in the harbour, that sort of tells you the level of temperature that operates down there on the bottom of the South Island. Hence the no interest. Thank you.
The memories of Dunedin when you get caught. Here's Jimmy Anderson in again to Rohit Sharma. Absolutely rock solid once again. Another word, or a word for the first time this morning, to Jared Kimber, our analyst, and then for the next 20 minutes, what a great pleasure it is to welcome Mark Butcher back to the commentary team.
I just wanted to talk about Ajinkya Rahane. He's a very interesting player in this Indian lineup. he averages 37 in India and 44 away from home. There are only 7 players in the world who average more away from home than they do at home in the last 11 years. And most of them, it's like just a little bit more. It's touch and go, where he's a lot more. He averages 42 against spin and 44 against pace. And in the last decade, the only other Indian batsman who averages more against pace and spin is Sachin Tendulkar. And that was towards the end of his career. It's quite clear that he's usually in this team as a bit of a warrior and a different kind of player. So they could find better players of spin, but they probably can't find a better player than Rahane game in, game out. And so he's nothing like anyone else. So this is going to test him as much as it will test, the English batsman in many ways. This is not. He would much rather probably be playing up in. I remember he made his debut in one-day internationals, I think, in Durham, when the ball was nipping around everywhere. He's much more comfortable there than he probably is in a situation like this.
Thank you, Jared. Very, very good morning to all listeners here on TalkSport 2. There's a bit of delay out there in the middle at the Narendra Modi Stadium, and that is because we have ground staff on the ground with a bucket, a big orange bucket, a dustpan and brush, and they are sweeping up large portions of what is left of the footmarks on this pitch. James Anderson was very, very upset about the state of the footholes yesterday, and doesn't seem to have his mood improved any by the fact that the pitch has disintegrated again where his left foot is landing. So the ground staff have just swept up a huge amount, probably about a quarter of a bucketful of grit and dirt, and they are now off the field, and Jack Leach is into the attack.
No.
As I said before, very well welcome to all listeners here on TalkSport 2 as India have moved into the lead on day 2 of this third test match, this crucial pink ball day-night test. And England at the moment are looking increasingly agitated and irritated as Leach is in once more. That has hit pad first, and up goes the finger. Jack Leach has broken through just as we were extolling the virtues of Ajinkya Rahane. He has been trapped trying to play the cut shot. The ball has gone straight on and crashed, I think, straight into the back pad of Rahane, then onto the bat, and in fact Rahane is walking off the field.
Yeah, he's walking off. He knew straight away, did Rahane. He gave himself out here. He looked up at Rohit Sharma, turned his back and walked straight off. He's just hit his pad literally right back on the stumps, and it's clipped his pad. His pad got in the way of his bat, I would say. A very good bit of bowling, Jack Leach. He's turned the ball this morning from a little bit wider, but from a little bit slower. This one just gone on with the arm beautifully, no turn, and it's just trapped Rahane in front of all three. A fantastic bit of bowling by Jack Leach.
Yes, it certainly appears that the spin of Jack Leach is going to be the go-to mode for Joe Root and the England team in order to make breakthroughs. There's been precious little for James Anderson, but Leach has turned the ball. He's made it burst through the surface. He's made the odd ball jump steeply. He's made the odd ball stay down, and it is certainly going to be spin to win, or spin at least to get back into the contest as far as England are concerned. Leach has his third. Rahane has gone. India are 2 runs in front. And the crowd at the Narendra Modi Stadium has just gone berserk because Rishabh Pant, with his shirt untucked and his bat tucked under his arm, has just taken a quick look towards the heavens to try and get some light into the eyes, and is now swaggering out to the middle.
I say he's earned that, hasn't he, with what he did in Brisbane, with what he did a couple of test matches ago, and the batting that he's been starting to produce. There were a lot of critics out around the way of his dismissals, especially in the IPL and in some games in India, where he would just continually just slog one deep into cow corner or deep into deep square leg and walk off the field, and just it is what it is. But he showed maturity, and he showed a coming of age in that innings in particular down under only a couple of months ago in Brisbane. And it'll be interesting to see the way that he plays here. The slogathon the other day in Chennai, his shirt is untucked. He's now doing a couple of singles to get himself going, to get his feet moving. But this is the new modern day player, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. Shirt's untucked. He's got a little bit of a belly. He has an absolute whoopsie when he bats. And listen to the crowd. It was like when Afridi walked out to bat. Said, sixer, sixer. That's it.
It's a bit like Peterson without the belly.
But he's got a sense of humour as well, Rishabh Pant. But the crowd is spread. The field
5
is
minutes
spread.
left of this spell, Butch.
I know. I pick my moments. You've got to pick your moments. But the field is now spread. England have a man back on the sweep on the fence. They've got a mid-wicket back on the fence. They've got long on back on the fence. And this is a contest for the series, really. It's a little subtext, I suppose, in what has been a fascinating Test match series so far. But it's Jack Leach, left arm spin, versus the freewheeling, buccaneering Rishabh Pant. 3 men on the fence, 3 men around the bat. Pant knocks it soberly past short mid-wicket. It goes all the way out to long on, and he will pick up a single off his very first ball. Just having a look once more at the dismissal of Rahane. Rahane went on the back foot, and the ball just skidded straight on. He was expecting it to turn. It didn't. It's not only the England batsmen who have been foxed by deliveries on this surface, and crashed into his back pad just in front of off stump. Rohit, on the other hand, seems to be batting on a completely different surface.
Yeah, he has been. And I suppose with all the negatives from yesterday, the ball has bounced, the ball has spun, some have gone straight on. Yes, we've got Pant that's come out and Rohit Sharma. But England viewers will be wanting to know, how can we get back into this Test match? India's lead is only 3.
Forward defence again, little puff of dirt as the ball landed, but again the ball is straight off the middle of the bat of Rohit Sharma.
They're 4 wickets down, so the lead of 3, they're 3 for 4, and yes, they double runs because they've still got to bat again. England just have to be thinking pad this time. Sharma, little shimmy down the pitch, but decides to tuck the bat behind the pad. It balloons out towards short leg, and that is the end of the over. 39 overs gone. India 115 for 4. England just need to be thinking about bowling India out cheaply. 160, 165. That's where England need to be thinking now. They've got it here with Leach doing what Leach is doing. Spinning, turning, bouncing, going straight on. And then they have to try and find a way to get back into the game with a couple of their batters showing good momentum and good technique and throwing the crowd to one side. But right now, Joe Root and his team need to be thinking, Ashwin, Akshar, Sundar, Ishant, Bumrah, there's nothing there that worries us.
Yeah,
break this partnership.
This is the partnership.
Yeah, break this partnership.
One of these two, and England are in business. I suppose the problem for Joe Root, Steve Harmison, is that you've got pressure from Jack Leach at one end, turning the ball, making it bounce. At the other end, the seamers are looking totally ineffective.
Yeah, absolutely, totally ineffective. That's why you're probably looking at Broad and Anderson just bowling one side of the wicket and saying to that Jack Leach is the main threat. But you're talking about worrying. Yes, the bottom order doesn't worry me, but this little kid that walks out, he's worrying me. He bats for 10, 15, 20 balls to get in. At the next 20, 25 balls, he takes the game away from England. So England have to get Rishi Pant out early. If they don't, I think this could be the matchman and partnership.
Well, Pant is surveying the field at the moment. James Anderson with ball in hand. He's gone around the wicket, perhaps because of the change of angle to the left-hander, but also to get away from the pit that he's created with his left foot and the footholes. Anderson in, and Pant pushes towards that one, and it goes past the outside edge. Ben Foakes collects the ball by his right boot as the ball dies on its way through to the England wicketkeeper. And James Anderson having to do a lot of donkey work here at the moment, which is one of the issues with playing so many seam bowlers on these dry pitches during the daytime. 2/3 of a day-night match is played in the daylight, and the England seamers having to bowl when the ball's not doing anything. There's no reverse swing for them, and you're literally bowling overs that the spinners ought to be bowling.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of frustrating, and it comes back to the argument: did they pick the right team? Did they not? Did they have the game plan? This is the game plan that was set up. Getting bowled out for 112 just blows that game plan. But unfortunately, this is where England are. This is what the game situation is. This is what it is. All that's for another day. And I think it's about Anderson and Broad using their experience, using the angles on the crease over and round the wicket to somehow try and create a chance and a pressure for Jack Leach.
Anderson in, and Rishabh Pant is forward. Doesn't bend the front knee into the forward defensive stroke, but blocks it comfortably enough. James Anderson picked up his wicket during that devastating spell in the first Test match in Chennai. Just how long ago does that feel, by the way? England went 1-0 up in that series, having made almost 600 in their first innings. Anderson was devastating in India's second innings, when they had a chance still of getting out of that one with a draw. Pant forward once again, blocks it to Joe Root at short extra cover, and again there's no run.
I think it also shows, Butch, at how quickly mindsets and the people's thought processes change in this great game when you play in the subcontinent.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at one or two of the numbers. I mean, Joe Root, obviously, if you include the Sri Lanka tour, 228, 186, 218 in that first match in Chennai. But other than that, England have only passed 50. 5 England players have passed 50 in the tour. Cut away from Pant, and it's straight at Sibley at backward point, and there's no run. So Dan Lawrence made 50 in the first Test match, his first Test innings, 72 in Sri Lanka. Josh Buttler made 55 in the first innings of the second Test match in Sri Lanka. Dom Sibley made 87, first match Chennai. Stokes made 82, first match Chennai. No half centuries from anybody in the second Test. And Zach Crawley made 53, of course, yesterday. Anderson is at the stumps this time, and Rishabh Pant blocks the ball. It almost goes between his legs and stops in a crater in front of the stumps, and there's no run. Darren Gough joins us on commentary for the first time this morning. So I mean, just papering over the cracks perhaps for England. Joe Root so dominant in those first 3 Test matches, but there have only been 5 other scores above 50 from England in the entire tour, Goffey.
Yeah, but listen, you know what it's like. It's about it's about partnerships, isn't it? When you go to places like Sri Lanka and you go to India, you've got to put a partnership on the board. And we've been reliant on Joe Root. I think that's obvious. The way he's played spin, KP talked about it earlier, about the way he has a technique to play, and Joe Root's very much bought into that way of playing spin on the subcontinent. But the other players have got to follow. It looked like they had a plan. Ollie Pope coming in that second Test, he tried to be positive, didn't he, from ball 1, Butch?
Yep, he certainly tried. Sweep, and it's been missed. It's hit the body, and that could be the end of Rohit. The umpire's finger has gone up. It's hit Rohit Sharma on the body. The ball turned sharply. My feeling is that the ball, if it's going to hit the stump, is going to clip the outside of off stump. But of course, the on-field umpire has raised the finger, so all it has to do is clip. And that will be the end of Rohit Sharma.
Play review for LBW. Original decision is out. It's a fair delivery. Spin vision, please.
If you look at Rohit Sharma's face there, as soon as he missed it, he thought it was
nice
gone.
And slow, please.
Yeah, Rohit Sharma's back leg is down on the ground. The ball has hit him in the stomach, really, or on the flank. But I wonder if that ball has just turned enough to miss the off stump.
Roll it forward, roll it through, all the way to the body, please. Rumblings, still
Third
rumblings.
umpire is
Clear daylight between bat and ball.
looking
ball
for the
tracking
bottom
when ready.
edge. There is no chance that is the case.
Pitching outside off, impact umpire's call. Wicket
Ball has
hitting.
crashed
On-field umpire on screen, please.
into the off stump,
Nitin,
about
stay with the original
5 inches
decision.
below
You're on
the
screen.
bails, and
Give
that
up,
is
please.
another huge wicket for England. This match is careering forward at the moment, and Rohit Sharma, who has played quite beautifully for 66 from just 96 deliveries, is on his way back, and England have broken this partnership before it has got out of the womb.
Well, that's a big wicket for England. Jack Leach has bowled quite beautifully, actually, this Test match. And it goes to show now, where we're talking about selection, if England can win it from here, it would be an unbelievable victory when you consider we've got one real out-and-out spinner in our lineup. You've got to remember, if it's hard for the Indian batsman facing Jack Leach, we've got 3 of them coming at us when it's our turn to bat again. But Jack Leach is giving England a chance. India at 115 for 5. Another danger man back in the hutch, Rohit Sharma, 66 off just 96 deliveries. It's a huge wicket. But this extra batsman not coming to the crease yet. Washington Sundar, who came into the side really as the 3rd spinner who can bat. In comes R. Ashwin, off the back of a fine 100, Butch, in the last Test.
Certainly was fine 100. You're listening to commentary of the 3rd Test between India and England on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times cricket team led by former captains Mike Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook. Ashwin, who was the man of the match in the 2nd Test match, part 2 of the Chennai Test match drama. That 106 he made in the 2nd innings was quite some knock on a pitch that was turning and bouncing with it increasing violence. He did walk to the crease when India were 300 runs ahead, mind you, which makes life quite a bit easier. But even so, he became 2nd on the list in terms of Test match players who have made hundreds and taken 5 wickets in the same Test match. Ian Botham leads that list with 5 occasions, and Ravichandran Ashwin is now on his own in 2nd place, having done it 3 times, twice against the West Indies and once against England. And he takes guard now against Jack Leach. He's on the back foot straight away and strokes it to the left-hand side of extra cover. Zach Crawley gives chase and pulls the ball back inside the rope, and India pick up a couple. Their lead now is 5. It's 117 for 5.
Well, that's on the back of when you get 100, you come to the crease, and that's what we talked about earlier, about people that have been out in the middle. You're confident, you've got runs behind you, you've not had a 3-week break. You come in and you play a shot like that first ball. Back foot punch with the spin through the offside, come 3.
Would have been 3 if you'd been running, Goffey.
He only got 2.
But Pant and Ashwin settled for 2.
So he got a bag of coal on his back.
2 slips and a short leg in place for Ashwin. Tall at the crease, bat held upright. Ball wide of off stump, turns, and Ben Foakes pouches it, takes the ball back towards the stumps, lest there's any overbalancing, and there's no run. Just another repeat of the dismissal and England's reaction to it. Great joy on the face of Jack Leach and of England. This match is still very, very much alive. India's lead is only 5, and half their men are back in the hutch. Rishabh Pant now perhaps is the key for India. Leach is in again. It's short. He's been short 3 out of 3 deliveries now to Ashwin. He used to drag the Indian all-rounder forward. 77th Test match, batting average of 28.2. Leach is in, that's better. Arcing that ball, drifting it on towards middle and leg stump. Ashwin is equal to it. He pushes forward. 41 overs gone. India 117 for 5. The lead is 5.
Just on Ashwin's average, it's 28, as you said, Butch, but he actually averages 42 against spin. So he's a very, very good player of spin. It's usually the pace bowlers, partly because his back hasn't been very good for a few years. So if you hit him a couple of times, he can't get out the way of the ball.
Well, England have got a team which is full of seamers at this moment in time.
None of them can make the ball reach the keeper, though, Goffey. That seems to be the problem.
Ah, dear. But like you said, Butch, England are in this game, and we talked about the positivity this morning around that thing. Virat Kohli wicket last night was huge for them. Jack Leach, they're going to be reliant on him so much in this match. But you've got to remember, India, should after bat last. And talking about spinners, who comes into the lineup, Butch?
Yep, Joe Root, the England captain, going to the old adage that if you need a job doing, you may as well do it yourself. A lot of people, perhaps when England's squad was announced, or team playing 11 was announced for this test match, sort of said, well, Joe Root's as good a spinner as we've got. I'm not sure that he feels that that's the case, otherwise he might have been bowling long before now. But he's certainly good for the odd wicket and the odd breakthrough, and he's also quite handy at bowling at left-handers, which is exactly why he's been brought on to bowl at Rishabh Pant. He beats him straight away. Folks thinks he's got him, Root thinks he's got him, and the finger's gone up. Umpire Chowdhury says, yep, that's it. Rishabh Pant may think that he's hit the floor, that the toe of his bat has hit the floor, and that could have created the sound. He's chatting to Ashwin. And, well, the time has run out on the DRS review. And Rishabh Pant puts his head down and is making his way off the field. Joe Root has done it. Golden arm has worked for Joe Root. Off spinner to left-hander, and the danger man Rishabh Pant has gone for one. And goodness me, this game is alive and kicking.
Well, it's a game changer. Joe Root picked himself as the second spinner. He gets on, turned and took a piece out of the pitch. Turn, bounce, good catch by Ben Foakes, the keeper. Joe Root is absolutely delighted, and that's a game changer for England. If he comes into the attack and starts taking wickets, he's gone big. Rishabh Pant goes for 117 for 6 here on TalkSport 2.
Extraordinary. Rishabh Pant never did get to tuck that shirt in. He's made his way back off the field, and Joe Root is looking decidedly more chipper than he did at any point yesterday evening, where it looked as though he had the worries of the world on his shoulders. But that could be an absolutely crucial wicket in this game. He's now got the left-handed Washington Sundar in his sights as well, and India's lead is just 5. I suppose it is worth pointing out that if Joe Root is turning them square and making them explode through the surface, that India have got 3 spinners to England's 1.5. Jared.
3 for 3 in 18 balls India have now lost.
Well, it's not going to get any easier. And to tell you exactly why, here's Mark Nicholas.
Amazing 40 minutes of cricket this morning. England deserve enormous credit for this attitude and performance. 117 for 6, I repeat. India 6 down. England have taken 3 wickets, 3 for 3, as you just heard from Jared Kimber. Washington Sundar's taken a fair while to get ready. Joe Root just can't wait to bowl. Here he comes now. And he bowls a good one. Doesn't quite spin as much as the one to Rishabh Pant, which was a touch wider, but a good one. Forces a forward defensive struggle. Big stride forward from Washington Sundar, and he bends that front leg. Just a finished scratch, wasn't it, for Rishabh Pant? He knew it. Deep down he knew it, and he accepted it. Another good ball from Joe Root. Almost a carbon of the ball before, really, as Washington Sundar came forward and defended comfortably. Nice bowling by Root, Goffey.
He can bowl. He's a wicket taker. He's a confident lad. He's worked really hard over the past couple of years on his bowling, and I think
back goes Sundar on this occasion and defends. Root coming with that big angle from round the wicket. Slightly lower arm, that ball, maybe pushed in a little quicker and a tad short, and Sundar had time on the back foot to defend it calmly out to cover. He's an elegant looking player, is Washington Sundar, who comes forward now and defends a full ball. 5 in the over gone. There's no run from that. Yes, Sundar has been around a bit longer than people might think, but he attracted attention to himself again in the most recent IPL. Was very economical with the ball and blazing at times with the bat, as he waits now for Root. Another excellent delivery, another good forward defensive stroke. The end of a fine over from Joe Root. India 117 for 6, just 5 in front.
The good thing about Joe Root, though, that the angle is coming at, because there is that turn and that drift and that bounce and turn, it comes really effective. When we talk about Axar Patel, he comes round the wicket and he comes wide of the crease with a lowish arm, and he gets that sharp turn and bounce. It's very hard to play, isn't it? where to, unless it's a short and wide ball, that's the only way you're going to score. And it's the same with Joe Root there, coming round the wicket to the left-hander, lowish arm, drifting into the left-hander, and then turning and bouncing sharply. Very hard to play.
Really well described, because what the batsman feels is the ball's almost coming to leg stump. You know, the angle you're playing is quite extreme there.
Yep.
And therefore, when it does spin at all, if it just spins a couple of inches, it feels like it's literally a worn leg break, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a very good point, Goffey.
Absolutely. And Joe Root to left-handers. To Rishabh Pant as well. He's been effective to him. He's not like facing Joe Root at all.
Well, we're waiting for Jack Leach, who's going to bowl to R. Ashwin with a slip and a short leg. There's also a man on the drive, actually, on the leg side. Maybe that's for Ashwin specifically because of that shot he plays off his legs. Down he comes the pitch. He drives over the top. Good shot. Very positive. Sensing the moment here and maybe looking to counter-attack. R. Ashwin on the back of 100 in the last match.
Yeah, a man full of confidence. He's taking wickets every time he goes to the crease. He got 100 in the last test match. Using his feet there to Jack Leach. He actually got nowhere near it, but just backed his eye and his bat shape to get good contact. And it goes over Jofra Archer, who's at mid-on, and bounces away and runs away for 4. Big shot for India, 121 for 6.
Well, all Jack Leach got to do is keep spinning it. Keep doing what he's done well. Don't change a darn thing. Keep it on a length. Keep looking to spin the ball. Interesting approach from Ashwin. Forward defensive there to exactly the sort of ball we want to see from Leach, who's been so good in this test match so far.
I tell you what, it's a brave man, isn't it? When England do get to bat again, and hopefully it won't be too long, it'd be brave to go out there and send someone out just to play a few shots, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm sure they'll play with more purpose than in the first innings. They must have learnt from that as Leach lobs one a little higher, not much higher, a little higher. Ashwin come forward and just leans on it. Drifts out into the offside for no run.
The one I'd like to come and do it, although he's coming on the back and not playing and at a note in the first inning, is Johnny Bairstow. Just give him a licence to go out and play some shots.
Leach again. Bowls a beauty. A real unplayable ball. Probably pitch middle and leg. That's certainly middle. And folks took it wide of off stump at chest height. My goodness, that is a ripper.
You're not getting a nick on that one, are you? I mean, that's ridiculous. Drifted into leg stump, as you talk.
Outside leg stump it pitched. What a ball.
And it's dusting now as well. The pitch has started to dust.
I'm not sure that the local association will be so pleased with this pitch. 1-2-1 for 6 the score. England have taken 3 this morning as Ashwin plays a forward defensive stroke. There's no run from that. He has 6. Sundar isn't off the mark yet. But they wouldn't want a test match over in 2 or 2.5 or 3 days. They're on their new ground. I'd have thought they'd have wanted a safer surface than this. Here's Leach again, and it's defended by Ashwin pretty comfortably. It's the end of the over. Root will continue, and we say good morning to Akash Chopra over in India. Akash, this is, well, it's sort of hard to believe at times, the speed of this match.
Yes, it's incredible, and that's what red soil surface often offers you, where there is more pace on the surface. And these are different kind of soil that's been used. When you saw that red soil surface in Chennai, that was the slower kind. And therefore, in the first test match, you found that the game moved very slowly and then only gathered pace on day 4, day 5. But here you would find that just the pace of the surface is bamboozling the batsman, and therefore the game is moving a lot faster.
Thank you. Stay with us. Root now to Sundar. Beats him with another lovely spinning ball. Pitched very straight, rips past his outside edge. When it goes here, as Akash has said, it goes real quick. Big puffs of dust coming out of the surface. We're only on the second morning. Extraordinary to watch it. In its way, more extraordinary than that last test match in Chennai. Root again, number 66 on his back, and we know why. It comes off at inside edge. Ollie Pope throws himself to his left. For just a moment there was thought that it might be a catching chance, but no, it certainly wasn't, as it went down off the inside edge of the bat rather than looped up. Root landing it in the right sort of areas here. Very good cricketer, of course, and a canny bowler. It's just a tad short there, and Sundar is back defending it down the pitch.
You've got to get time at the crease, haven't you? You've got to get used to the pace, the bounce, find a way to score. You're going to score against the spin of Jack Leach and now Joe Root, and build partnerships. I think that's the biggest key here.
Nice ball, lobbed a little higher and given more chance to spin. Tad over pitched, I suppose you could say, and Sundar goes forward to half drive it to short extra cover, but no venom in the shot, no run. The advantage just 9 for India, and only 4 second innings wickets in hand. Here's Root again, back goes Sundar and defends on the back foot. Root cross with himself, threw his head back as if to say, come on Joe, you're better than being back of a length. It wasn't short, just back of a length. He wants the batsman on the front foot. You want to be drawing them forward, ideally pushing at the ball as it spins, a bit like the one to Rishabh Pant. Was feeling for it. It's a good line and lovely loop on that one, actually. The first one that's really looked to have the old revs on it to make it dip and loop. Just come back if Goffey do you want to say something?
I was going to say to Akash, I was going to ask him a question. I was just going to ask Akash about a question about the spin and obviously what's happening is, but you just got to try and get a partnership together, aren't you? Because it looks like when players first come to the wicket, it's almost impossible to start off, isn't it? And 1 brings 2, brings 3, and that's the way the game's gone.
Well, it is difficult, let's be fair. It is difficult batting when you are new at the crease. But then Zach Crawley yesterday and Rohit Sharma, a good part of last evening, showed that you can score runs. One guy scored 53, the other guy scored 66. So you need to attack the spinners a little bit more, something that Ashwin is now exhibiting, a bit more aggression. But yes, with a slice of luck as well.
But Akash,
runs can be scored. This ball is not doing much when both fast bowlers are bowling.
They're both openers. They scored most of their runs against the seamers. Here's Jack Leach now. Forward is Ashwin. Comes off a thick outside edge. He thinks about a run, but is smartly sent back by Washington Sundar, who won't have a bar of it. And so Ashwin does turn back. Got to be careful of saying R. Ashwin. We had a fellow from the north of England saying, stop saying R. Ashwin. He's not yours. It's Jack Charlton called Bobby our kid. You can't call R. Ashwin. Here he goes again. Leach and bowls another one. Similar little teaser outside off stump that spins, and Ashwin gets a lot of bat on ball there, but there's no run to point fielder.
And that was Army's dad.
Our kid. R. Ashwin is what he asked to be called. Either Ashwin or R. Ashwin, not Ravichandran. He said that's not the right one, as he comes well forward there, plays it well too, actually goes to short extra cover. These are key moments here. Ashwin, who's got some form with the bat, understands of course how to play spin, has a cool head, got to get him. England know that. He and Sundar, crucial wickets as Ashwin goes back, looks to drive as he did off his first ball from the back foot, but this time the ball is slow off the surface, doesn't get to him, he doesn't time it, and there's no run. On his bat it says hero, which is exactly what he was in the last test match. The crowd quiet here, silenced by England's performance this morning, which has been so impressive. Now Ashwin goes back, cut and finds the gap and gets 4. Doesn't try to hit it too hard. That livens him up a bit in the bleachers.
Well, that's what he's really good at, is Ashwin. He really uses his feet to go deep in the crease and waits for that bad delivery from Jack Leach. It's going to be this short, wide ball that turns away from the right-handed batsman, just fractionally short, but it was the width that allowed Ashwin just to get back deep in the crease, rock forward, then onto the back foot, head still, and a beautiful, beautiful late cut behind backward square for 4 runs.
There's Leach very disappointed with himself there. He's got 77 on his bat. He bowls a very good ball to Ashwin, who comes forward and defends it securely. And end of that over. Akash, I know this is impossible to judge, but because we won't know till the end of the game, but when you say you'd expect England to be more positive in the first innings, which do you take? Do you take a very attacking approach over tighter defence, or is one a corollary of the other?
On this kind of surface, you need to have a bit more aggressive approach to your batting against spin. And that's what we have seen. Akshar Patel was bowling the 7th over of the first innings. So you know that spin will be introduced very early, and if you're just waiting in your shell, allowing them to settle, they'll run over you like this.
Root again. And he bowled him! Washington Sundar is beaten by a beauty. Joe Root is the man this morning.
Absolutely unbelievable delivery. We talked about the angle Joe Root's coming to the left-handers. He's coming wide of the crease. Lowish arm, drifting it out towards leg stump. Sharp turn back to bowl him off stump. An absolutely worldie from Joe Root. Great loop, great pitch, great seam, clips off stump, and it's another huge wicket for England. England are 100% still in this game with only one recognised spinner. We're going to put Joe Root in that book now. He looks a game changer. Absolutely fantastic. Washington Sundar picked as the third spinner, which I don't think will get a ball in this game, but picked to get runs at the lower order. Well, he's just fallen for 0. 125 for 7 now, India, here on TalkSport 2.
Well, we definitely have got to put Root in that bracket. I'll tell you why. Yes, okay, so he's bowled 2 or 3 very good overs and taken a couple of wickets this morning, so he's proved he can bowl. But it's more than that. There is no way that clear-thinking cricket men would have gone into this match without seeing Root as the second spinner. You can't start a test match on a dry surface in India with only one spinner. So clearly they made the decision that Root was the better bet to Bess. If it was Root versus Bess as an off-spinner, they were going with Root.
Well, the 2 deliveries he's bowled to get 2 wickets
suggests it's a very good decision.
It's a good decision, and they were massive wickets as well. Rishabh Pant and Washington Sundar, 2 big wickets. Bowling off-spin, bowling to left-handers. That's why he's brought himself on, and he's dismissed both of them.
Yeah, very good. Really, really good from England in every department of the game this morning. They've woken up with the right attitude. They went to sleep concerned about some injustices yesterday, or certainly things that didn't go their way. Root wanted consistency, particularly from the third umpire, and also the fact they'd played badly. So they went to bed with that all of that on their minds. They've woken up and proved this morning that the right attitude can bring the right performance.
I'll tell you what it has done though now, 125 for 7. They've got a lead of 13 India. They're going to have to bat last on here, Mark, and the pressure is on them now. It really, really is. When they come back and bowl, we expect their spinners to bowl well, right? They're quality. There's no doubt about that, whether it be Ashwin or Patel. But the pressure now is on India, yeah, not England. It's on India.
We haven't been going an hour. We've had 4 wickets this morning already. I mean, it's unbelievable, this match. We had 13 yesterday. Akshar Patel can bat. Don't worry about that. He can bat. He strikes the ball great. But this is demanding by any standard. Ashwin has 10. 17 balls he's faced. Akshar hasn't faced a ball yet. Root's rethinking the field. The sudden change. Akshar looked ready, but Root stopped. Maybe he's just playing with him a bit, making him wait, making him think. Big crowd in. Akshar's only just begun his test match career. Heart will be pumping. Hands a little clammy. England captain about to bowl at him now. 125 for 7 the Indian score, just 13 in front of England. Here's Root. And he bowls a good one, and the defensive stroke matches it. Lovely straight bat from Akshar Patel.
Looks like Mullaritharan at a minute, Joe Root, doesn't he? Don't look like they're going to get him off the square. He's bowled wonderful control, sharp turn, he's getting bounce, getting drift. He's got everything.
Down comes Akshar, drives, he's caught at short extra cover. Oh, Joe Root, what are you doing? This is magnificent by England in every department this morning.
Well, the captain's coming to the party. 3 for none off just 2 points. 3 overs as Joe Root. India now 125 for 8 here on TalkSport 2. England, what a comeback this morning. The ball's turning, it's bouncing. Joe Root brings himself into the attack, having seen Leach bowling so well. He's come in, Akshar Patel, and thought, I'm going to get one here, so I'm going to come and use my feet and hit him over the top. Didn't quite get to it, hit it straight to short extra cover. A huge wicket, Mark, huge.
Such drama in Ahmedabad. You're listening to commentary of the third test between India and England here on TalkSport 2, where with the Times and the Sunday Times, what a partnership it's proving to be this morning. Anyway, try the Times free for 1 month and you can get it at thetimes.co.uk/cricket. It's an offer there. Subscription automatically renews unless cancelled. Terms and conditions apply. Yep. The Times and the Sunday Times right with edge. That's the script. The cricket's got edge this morning. 125 for 8. Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. I mean, we didn't think India would find batting easy today, but we thought they might add 150 to their score, or 100. But anyway, 125 for 8. It's not done yet, of course, but Root has 3 for none in 2.5 overs.
Yeah, I think that's what they were looking at. India would have gone into today's play thinking we can get up to 200, that would be a good score, and nearly a 100 lead. That's what they would have been looking for, India. But now at 125 for 8 with the lead of just 13, England would have gone out this morning thinking if we can dismiss them for around 150, 160, we are definitely in this game, because India have to bat last.
Oh.
But it's gone even better so far.
Yeah, I didn't name the catcher. Dom Sibley was at short extra cover.
Good catch, by the way.
Yeah, clean as a whistle. He took it as Akshar Patel just, I mean, talk about being nervous on, he just ran down the pitch and tried to smash it over extra cover and didn't pull it off.
Well, I think we're going to see the same from Ashwin when he gets on strike. He might play a few shots. He's 10 off just 17 deliveries. Ishant Sharma playing his 100th test. He's going to be his partner. I can't see him having much success.
Goffey, I was just about to say, I hope Joe Root stays round the wicket, and that's just what he's done. Ishant Sharma plays back. Tall man who likes to play back. He might prop forward, in which case short leg is there, but there's a slip and a leg slip. Root will come round the wicket then to the Indian fast bowler playing his 100th test match. Here we go. Root 66, in he comes. Bowls a good ball, and from the crease Ishant sort of dropped his bat on the ball actually. You don't want Ishant hanging around. They're going to have to make sure they deny Ashwin the strike. They're getting Ashwin out wouldn't be a bad idea. That ball's too short and easily played by Ishant Sharma. It's outside off stump, and it goes actually to slip with Ben Stokes. Does the fielding. Just one more Jaffa this over. 2 balls remain in it. Well played, very well played. Ishant comes well forward. Sorry, only 1 ball remained in it. Okay. A word from Goffey. The score's 125 for 8, and then it'll be Neil Manthorpe.
Yeah, it's fantastic cricket this from England. Showed real fight, as I've said over the past few days with this England team. The one thing they have got is fight and belief in each other's ability. At times some of their decision making has not been ideal and their techniques, but they are a fighting team and they've given themselves a fighting chance here now. They'll be over the moon with that first kind of hour this morning. We're taking the wickets. Jack Leach has bowled beautifully. Joe Root has come to the party. 3 for none, Joe Root. What do you reckon, Neil Manthorpe?
I don't know. I'd like to know what Kevin Peterson thinks. Joe Root, 3 overs, 3 maidens, 3 for none. And suddenly India are leading by 13 with 2 wickets remaining. England have fought their way back into the test match. They've got the wrong personnel. They've got 3 left backs and they're missing a couple of midfielders, but they're going to have to somehow cobble together something to make.
Absolutely they do, and we were talking about that just before I left my first stint. I think 35 minutes ago, said they've got to be thinking about just bowling India out for 150. Who cares what happened yesterday? Park it to one side. It's always the next session, the next session, the next session in a test match. The next session, I mean, I hated it when we played. The next session is always the most important session. Well, what about on day 1, the first morning? And we're on day 4, afternoon on day 4, but this is the most important session. So park yesterday, park everything that's happened now. This is a 1 innings game. 13 runs is a couple of boundaries. It is what it is. They need to just be thinking, right, Ishant, he's got to go, Bumrah, got to go, and then bat well once. Use all your practice, everything they've been doing for 6-7 weeks now, bat well once. They can win this test match.
If they knock over the last 2 wickets now, there'll be a euphoria when they get back into the change room, and they need to try and
Well, I'm not so sure they will be, not from the batters.
Well, I mean,
not seeing the wicket this morning, I don't think there's any batter that's thinking. There's a few batters that are standing there now going,
Jack Leach continues, and forward comes Ashwin, prodding a long way in front of the front pad. But I mean, they could have been 150 behind batting second.
Yes, they could have, but they're not. And they've seen a wicket that has got and done all sorts, and they've seen a part-timer that's turned up, and he's got 3 for naught. Actually, he's better than a part-timer, Joe Root. I think he's probably England's...
Leach right up in the block hole, driven by Ashwin, down towards long off, and it'll be intercepted on the boundary's edge by Johnny Bairstow. They go through for a single.
He's almost England's best spinner. So the decision to bowl him now that he's made has been the perfect one. 5 wickets for 27 runs this morning. 5 for 27.
India at home.
It could be over today.
Yeah, absolutely. England get bowled out.
Wow.
Hour before the close of play, and India will need 50 or 60. I mean, it's perfectly possible.
Absolutely, and it's doing enough. So, what you've done around 300 Test matches.
I haven't done a 2-day
But
one.
what we're trying to say is that we've seen a lot of cricket, and from what we can see at the moment, it's looking that way.
There'll be a partnership. Surely there'll be a partnership. Maybe not in this innings. But Ashwin is still there, and he's a very, very worthy cricketer. Here's Leach, quicker one outside the off stump, and it's left alone. I mean, Ashwin, at this stage, if Ashwin makes 20, it feels significant.
Every single run. And India will be thinking every run.
Leach again outside the off stump, and I think Ishant wanted to leave that one alone and didn't get the bat out of the way in time, and had inadvertently played it along the ground to Ben Stokes at slip.
And he's just at 2 massive lunges. Now, the ones that have lunged on this wicket...
Ooh, big turn here from Leach, very wide of the off stump. Kept low, turned, left alone by Ishant. Well, I guess he's got the levers, hasn't he, to lunge. If you've got the kit to lunge,
use them. They're in the toolbox, you use them.
Trying to smother the spin is Ishant Sharma. He's bowling a bit quicker now, Jack Leach. There's nothing in the 70s. Everything's around mid-80s. And that's quicker than he has been bowling in the series. He's around about 182. That's, again, wide of the off stump and left alone by Ishant. And the big number 10 in his 100th Test match is 0 from 7 balls. Jared Kimber.
Since I've got Joe Root's biggest fan as a bowler here, Neil Manthorpe, and also a part-time off-spinner in Kevin Peterson, can we talk about Joe Root's bowling for a second? He averages 47 coming into this Test, which was roughly Carl Hooper's average. Now, if you remember, Carl Hooper played as the 5th bowler. He bowled a lot more than Joe Root ever did, but always handy, and sometimes the conditions favoured him. The interesting thing about Joe Root is he averages 66 against right-handers, and he now averages 26 against left-handers. And he didn't come into this attack until the left-handers came in. So the minute Punt came in, Root brought himself on straight away. So you can see how much he does back his bowling, but he specifically knows how good he is against left-handers, and that's what he was going to do. And he's lucky. I think this is more left-handers than they've had maybe in the entire team.
That's why Ashwin came in at 7, isn't it? It's exactly why, because he wanted to get a right-hander in ahead of the left-handers.
And if you think about this, we know that Jack Leach's record is brilliant against right-handers, but not so good against left-handers. They actually complement each other fairly well as far as a part-timer and a full-time spinner go.
India leading by 14 runs. They've lost 5 wickets in the first session. They are 126 for 8. On strike are Ashwin, 11 from 19 balls. And Joe Root into him around the wicket, and that one is a low full toss, and maybe it was more of a Yorker, and it's driven by Ashwin up towards Leach at mid-off. Joe Root rubbing his hands together in glee, I suppose. He's got 3 for nothing. Here he is once more, bowls to Ashwin, turns and bounces, and it's fielded by Ollie Pope, diving to his right at short leg. I say, Joe Root has bowled some magnificent deliveries on a very, very helpful surface, but you know, he turns it more than most part-timers. He's a very, very good part-timer. Here is Root once again. Forward comes Ashwin. The towel fell out the back of his pants when he bowled that delivery, Joe Root.
Sometimes as a part-time spin bowler, the full-time your day job spinners are the ones that really get through their actions, and they pivot on their front foot and they get all the way around and they create that curve. When a right-arm off spinner
Root in again. Sweep shot, hit it really well, powerfully as R. Ashwin, and he's got 4 runs for it. The first runs that Joe Root has conceded after 4 balls of his 4th over.
A right-arm spinner, part-time spinner, comes on. You find it easier to bowl around the wicket because you really need to get around your body to create the curve, to get the energy on the ball. So bowling over the wicket actually doesn't sometimes feel as comfortable because you don't think that you can, or you don't really think you can put that curve on the ball because you don't use your body as much.
Root in again. Ashwin back and across onto off stump, knocks it into the leg side, no run.
Whereas around the wicket, you have to use your body. It's a different angle. You got to bowl around your body. And you feel as a part-timer you can put more revs on the ball. I found it so much more comfortable.
Steered away, quicker one from Joe Root, much quicker, and Ashwin picked it immediately and has just opened the face and guided it down to third man for an easy single, and he moves up to 16. India 131 for 8, leading by 19.
Yeah, I found it so much more comfortable bowling around the wicket, just purely for that simple reason that you had to use your body and a completely different angle to running straight up and just bowling straight breaks. So bowling to left-handers and bowling around the wicket to a right-hander is something that probably, if you ask Joe Root, he feels more comfortable with.
Nice to get that much turn as well. I mean,
it's always good to get it to turn.
But he's not taking out LBW from the equation by going around the wicket because he's
correct,
turning
absolutely.
That much.
Yeah,
straight and
against the right-hander.
Yeah. 131 for 8. Ashwin's kept the strike very cleverly and has moved on to 16. Here's Jack Leach bowling to him, and he pushes that one towards extra cover. England right back in this test match. India have to bat last on a pitch that is it's such a statement of the obvious. It's not going to get any better. But sometimes pitches do, not in the subcontinent, but it's not quite as...
I don't think this one's going to get better. No. not from what we've seen on day 2 morning.
Occasionally you sort of lose the whole of the top of a pitch and it all gets brushed off, and it's sort of a bit uneven by day 4 or 5, but not cracked. Here is Leach again, and giving himself room. Ashwin driving down to Johnny Bairstow on the long off boundary, or just in from the long off boundary. Ashwin doesn't take the run,
and it really is so interesting since DRS came into the minds of umpires, and DRS started to show umpires how, no matter how far forward you were, if the ball...
Leach again. Ashwin uses his feet and scurries down. The ball squirms away towards short leg, and he has to hurriedly retrieve his ground.
If the ball was straightening, umpires are a lot more confident in giving the dismissal of out. So many batters, left-handers, right-handers, against left-arm spin or right-arm off-spin.
Leach again, sweep shot from Ashwin, and he gets it away down the leg side. It's scuttling towards his fine leg boundary. It'll be intercepted by Stuart Broad. They'll go through for 2.
They've had to change the way that they've played. They've had to use their bat a lot more. They've had to play through the offside a lot more. And that's why a guy like Joe Root is doing so well against left-handers, and Leach would do so good against right-handed batters. And you only have to have a look around the world. Look at Ashwin against left-handers, Akshar Patel against the England right-handed batters. It's just a symptom of what started to happen when Alim Dar gave Sachin Tendulkar out by Monty Panesar in Nagpur in 2008 or 9. Off the front foot, Tendulkar gone. It was a huge, huge technical decision that changed the way that batters had to start playing spinners.
Incidentally, I thought the LBW decision that was given against Rohit Sharma was brilliant, because it's hit him in the ribs. Gone down for the sweep shot. The umpire sees it hit the batsman in the ribs, and just because it's hit him where it did, many umpires just rule it out. I thought that was a top decision. Rohit Sharma reviewed it.
Well, pre-DRS, you're too far forward.
Yeah.
Especially if you're tall, you're too far forward. Hits you, it doesn't matter where it hits you, it can be as plumb as anything, you're too far forward.
Here is Leach again. It's driven, mistimed completely by Ashwin, to the amusement of Jack Leach, who actually grins as they didn't take the single. Yes, they did. They did take the single. 5th ball of the over. Why not? Ishant just has to survive 1.
Just to add to KP's point, what's happened since, and it's before DRS actually came, you can see the difference. It's when umpires started seeing the TV replays. The amount of LBWs that seam bowlers had started to go down because the ball bounces over a lot, and the amount of LBWs that spinners went up. And there's it's actually about the same percentage, it's just completely swapped positions.
Here is Leach, and forward comes Ishant. Nicely done. Off the shoulder of the bat, steers it towards backward point, and there's no run. You're listening to commentary of the third test match between India and England here on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times cricket team writing with an edge with Michael Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook. And what an exhilarating session of cricket we've had, and we're far from finished. 5 for 35 in 16 overs. India at home in their own backyard in the Sardar Patel Stadium in Ahmedabad have lost 5 for 35.
Yeah, but Ashwin has just picked up a couple of boundaries, hasn't he? England just need to be very careful. It is a case of every single run at the moment. You say it in the shorter form of the game, every run. They're going to make sure they don't give it away here. Look after the last ball of the over, all those kinds of things. But here, in particular, in this test match right now, it's about guarding against every single run, being smart in your fielding positions, trying to keep Ashwin off strike, bowling most of your deliveries at Ishant.
Rarely in test cricket, modern test cricket history, would a lead of 50 felt
so big.
I mean, yeah, if India could get themselves a lead, well, they're leading by 22.
They might win by an innings.
Dear.
We laugh.
Joe Root is in once again, looking for a fourth wicket, the England captain. That one is pushed away by Ashwin.
India at home in India, you just said it. 5 for 25 this morning.
Crazy. And Joe Root has
against Joe Root and Jack Leach.
4 overs, 3 maidens, 3 for 5. Jack Leach has 4 for 46 from 18 overs. That's top bowling from Jack Leach. Just over 2.5 runs an over.
And I think this is Ishant's chance to shine, because I don't think we'll see him bowl.
Here's Root. Oh, top edge sweep. It's gone up into the air. Does Joe Root have a fourth wicket? Underneath it is Zach Crawley, who takes the catch. Joe Root does have a fourth wicket. Ashwin has gone, top edging the sweep shot. And India are 134 for 9, leading by just 22 runs. Extraordinary stuff. Extraordinary.
There was a test match, Australia versus India, only a couple of years ago, where Michael Clarke got 6 for 9. Joe Root is doing something very, very similar right here today in Ahmedabad. From Bangalore to Ahmedabad, he now has 4 for not many. 35 runs today, 6 wickets. 6 wickets for 35. India, at home in India.
Their lead is just 22 as the number 10 is joined by the number 11, Jasprit Bumrah. India's lead is just 22. Joe Root, the England captain, has figures of 4.1 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 5. Jasprit Bumrah and Ishant Sharma have a chat. Now, what on earth could they be saying to each other?
Who's not bowling today? That's what they're doing here. All right, Ishant, whoever bats best here will get the only bowl that a fast bowler is going to have against England in this test match again.
Only one of us is getting the new ball, mate.
One of us is getting the new ball, and it's whoever bats best here. So good luck, it's me against you. We're not worried about the team. Team dynamics are out the window. This is an individual battle here. Who's going to open the bowling?
Ishant saying, well, it is my 100th test. And Jasprit saying, yeah, but you bowled the first over in the first innings.
I tell you what, as a fast bowler, you should probably get Steve Armisen in you. You wouldn't want to bowl, would you? You wouldn't want to bat, and you wouldn't want to be a fast bowler.
Army be going, no, that's fine, you can have it, mate. No, it's fine. Okay, India are 134 for 9. Joe Root has 4 for 5. 4 for 5. The last time Joe Root took 4 wickets in an innings, he bowled himself for another hour and a half in the search for a 5th wicket against South Africa last year in St George's Park in Port Elizabeth. And he got belted, and there was a 10th wicket partnership of 99, and he kept himself on and kept himself on in the search of that 5th wicket. He probably thought, I'll never get another chance again, and now he's got 4 for 5.
And if you asked him what kind of chance he would have wanted, I think he would have picked these two on this wicket.
Here is Root bowls in. Ishant Sharma plays a bit of a wafty drive, and it trickles up to Jack Leach at mid-off. Goodness gracious me. It's been a long time since we've had quite such an action-packed, extraordinary session of Test cricket, and we're barely halfway through it. Here is Root once again, bowls to Ishant. He comes forward and nudges it past Ollie Pope at short leg. Just a reminder, you need to try and keep up to pace with this game. India resumed at 99 for 3, and they are currently 134 for 9, leading by just 22. Root in again, bowls. Ishant on the back foot, nudges it up to Dom Sibley at mid-wicket. This has exceeded England's wildest dreams, never mind expectations. Kevin Peterson said if they can bowl India out for less than 150. Here is Joe Root. Down the wicket comes Ishant Sharma, drives inside edge, out to Crawley again at deep square leg. And they go through for a single, and Ishant has managed to get off the mark. Jasprit Bumrah.
To get off strike.
To get off strike. Oh, actually, it's the end of the over, so he's kept the strike.
Ishant, he wants to bowl. Ishant wants to bowl.
Wait, when you said bowl out India, I mean, you said that at the beginning of play. They were 99 for 3. You couldn't have believed that bowling India out for less than 150 was possible.
Not less than 150. That's what I think I said, 150, 160, because of the way the ball was spinning and bouncing. And you've got to believe. I mean, I played cricket believing in just as positive, in the darkest moments, try to be as positive as possible. And you have to. That's what you have to. You can't give up a test match. You can't give up winning.
Well, to continue this journey into Never Never Land is Mark Butcher for the next 20 minutes.
Thanks, Manners. It's been quite some morning if you're just joining us. India begun the day 13 runs behind, with Rohit Sharma 57 not out, Rahane 1 not out. And they have, they've since contrived to lose 6 wickets. 4 of them to England captain Joe Root, 2 to Jack Leach. They lead by 23. India 135 for 9, and they've been out there batting for just 50 overs. Jack Leach is bowling to Ishant Sharma, who's 1 not out. Make that 5 not out. He's just slammed Leach straight back over his head. In fact, it might have gone all the way. That might be the first 6 at the brand new Narendra Modi Stadium, and it's been hit by Ishant Sharma. That could be 6 incredibly important runs in what looks to be an increasingly fraught test match if you're a batsman. Yeah, it's carried all the way. Just took that big long stride, got the left foot alongside the ball and smashed it back over long off for 6. Leach in again. That ball pitches outside leg stump, would have missed off stump. There are explosions, there are bits of turf flying everywhere every time the ball lands. Joe Root is looking like Matthias Muralitharan. Jack Leach is turning it further than Warne. And it's very entertaining stuff as Leach is in once more. Ishant tries a slog sweep this time, gets the bottom edge and it rolls gently out towards mid-wicket. They come back for a second. Ishant is treading water, but makes it back safely nonetheless.
Precious runs, Butch, precious runs. 44 is now the lead. It only takes a couple of lusty blows to get that to 60, 50, 60. Field is spread and the batters will hit it in unorthodox places. Slog sweeping Leach, I mean, that's the last thing you're thinking as a batter, but not as a tail ender. And there's no one out there. So pick up a couple of runs here. Root just needs to be smart, he needs to be clever. Leach needs to bowl where his fielders are.
Yeah, lead is 31. And every single one of them is invaluable to this Indian team. It will be said that it's incredibly entertaining. Cannot take your eyes or ears off the action happening in Ahmedabad at the moment. As Leach is in once more. Ishant is on the back foot, plays French cricket really. Defensive stroke that goes out backward a point, and there is no run. I was given an enormous amount of stick, Kevin, got to tell you, from fans of Indian cricket and some former colleagues and players for describing or for saying that the pitch in the second Test match in Chennai was a poor one for Test match cricket. As Leach is in once again, and it's an excellent defensive stroke from Ishant. Wondering what the view is on this surface, where we've had 16 wickets fall before lunch on day 2.
Well, it's been the same for both teams, hasn't it, really? There's been bounce, there's been turn, there's been straight honours.
Big spin again. The chances of this game lasting into day 4 are virtually nil from what I can see at the moment. Jarrod, you got your hand up.
I do have my hand up.
It's very good of you.
I wasn't
actually.
sure how good your eyesight was. We're a long way from each other in this
My
room.
eyesight's pretty good. It's usually better than your manners, but that was excellent. Thank you.
KP, you were talking about how batsmen have had to change their techniques because of DRS against the ball spinning away from them. Left arm orthodox against right hand batsmen from 2000 to 2010 averaged 34.5 runs. In the 10 years or 11 years since, it's been 31, so that's a 3-run drop. Left-handers versus off-spin used to average 39 between 2000 and 2010. It's now 28.5. So for whatever reason, it's been a lot more prevalent amongst left-handers. They've really struggled with the DRS and the changing of techniques there.
I just remember back to Graham Swan's numbers against left-armers.
Root is in, and is that half a chance to short leg? Ollie Pope had to dive sharply away to his left. There was certainly pad. I wonder if there might have been a bit of glove on the way out there from Jasprit Bumrah. Joe Root on the threshold of 5. We go straight off the glove, and could have gone anywhere. Fortunately, it went wide of Ollie Pope. Bumrah forward again, and somehow trying to smother the ball. It bounces up on the offside this time. No fielder at Silly Point.
I think Graham Swan averaged 7 or 8 against left-armers, left-handed batters at some stage. I mean, he was phenomenal against left-handed.
Root full, and this time Bumrah gets bat rather than glove on it, slams it at mid-on, and there's no run.
Against the left-handers, I think he was, goodness, he had incredible numbers. You have a look at the speeds that Root's bowling here, 96, 98, 92.
Yeah, giving batsmen very little chance to adjust when the ball does bite and spin. Bumrah smothered that one straight down into the turf.
Down to 81 kilometres per hour. So he's bowling really, really smartly. He's being very, very intelligent, is Joe Root.
In again, round the wicket, and this time, again, it looked as though there might have been some bat involved. It flew to the right of Ollie Pope, catchable height this time, and has gone down to man running in from deep backward square, and they'll pick up a single. Not quite sure how Bumrah's managed to survive this over so far, but he does. 144 for 9. Yeah, again another one off the hands. This time it went to Ollie Pope's right. He's diving about like a goalkeeper in a penalty shootout at the moment, and the ball is going everywhere but within his reach. Root to Ishant, leads 32. Ishant keeps it out. The end of another tidy over from England's captain and second choice spin bowler. It's 144 for 9. Certainly is going to be a game that accelerates towards its conclusion. 32 is the lead now for India. Rohit Sharma has the highest score in the match so far, 66 from 96, before he was snuffed out, LBW, by Jack Leach, following the wicket, the first wicket to fall this morning, which was that of Ajinkya Rahane. 114 was the score on the board then when he was LBW to Leach for 7. Rishabh Pant was picked up very first ball by Joe Root, brought himself on as soon as he had the left-handed Pant in his sights, and he was caught very smartly by Ben Foakes. First ball for just 1 from 8 deliveries. Sundar was bowled by Joe Root, an absolute beauty. Right arm off spin around the wicket, pitch middle and leg, hit the top of off, Muralitharan style. Axar then tried to break the shackles by having a swipe basically, and was caught by Dom Sibley at short extra cover off the bowling of Root for naught when the score was 125, and Ashwin was the last man to go. 17 for India's great off spinning all-rounder. He was caught by Zach Crawley on the slog sweep with the score at 134. Steve Harmison has been chuckling away, joins us now. You wouldn't be getting too many overs in with a new ball come your chance in the second innings, Steve.
No, that's why I'm chuckling away, Butch. Looking down at the surface, thinking, I think the only use I'd be getting out my bowling boots is actually when I'm batting, running up and down the wicket. I think if I had a surface like this, I'd be going out in me, especially when we go out to field, I'd be going out in my batting shoes, especially with a surface like this. What do you reckon, Darren?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting a ball. I think we'll find when India do get out there and they have a ball, I think they'll be opening with the two spinners. I don't think there'll be any doubt about that whatsoever. They might let Ishant Sharma have one over or Jasprit Bumrah, but I think the spinners will be on straight away. Akshar Patel will take the new ball, and then it's whether, like I said, they give the seamer one over.
Well, Ashwin is India's leading bowler in India with the new ball, isn't he?
Yeah.
But they gave Akshar Patel the first opportunity with it in the first innings.
Well, to be fair to them, they hadn't seen what had happened once the spinners had come on by then, but I think they know now. So we'll see off spin from one end and left arm spin from the other when England take this final wicket. And we're hoping it's sooner rather than later. 32 doesn't sound like a big lead, but I can tell you in the context of what we are witnessing here, it is a lot of runs. 32. Leach has Bumrah in his sights. Bumrah, massive swipe. Ben Stokes gets a hand to it at slip, can only parry it over his head and it lands behind him. The moment Ben Stokes just cannot buy a trick. The sort of magic that we expect from him is eluding England's premium all-rounder at this moment in time. Tough chance, but you'd expect if form and fortune were going in his favour that he would have clung on to this one.
That's a tough. What an effort that is, by the way.
Huge spin. Ben Stokes has demolished the stumps. The off stump has gone flying out of the ground, and the umpire has gone upstairs to the third. Let's have a listen.
Umpire referral for stumping. It's a fair delivery. Best side on, please.
Entirely sure why we've gone upstairs. I don't think that Jasprit Bumrah moved at all.
Yeah, roll it. Yeah, foot is grounded, when the wickets are broken.
Yeah, Ben
I made
Stokes
my decision.
removes the bails pretty much as a matter of course in these circumstances. I don't think England appealed at all, but third umpire was called upon to make a straightforward and non-controversial judgment. As Leach is in once more. Short leg, silly point. Huge swing across the line from Bumrah. He makes contact with nothing but fresh air, and again there's no run.
Proper tail ender shot, isn't it? I mean, if in doubt, Army, we've both been there, mate. If in doubt, just try and sweep it. It's normally against a leg spinner, which you haven't got a clue which way it's turning. If in doubt, sweep.
Just trying to think how far Warne would turn the ball on a surface like this. I mean, he'd have to pitch it 2 feet outside leg stump to make contact with off stump. As Leach is in once more, Bumrah gets across outside off stump, then plays straight up the line and meets it with a dead bat. The ball rolls out to backward point and there's no run.
But the ball, Butch, that's caused all the problems. The ones, you talk about the lavish turn, but the ones that have gone straight on are the ones that have caused the damage from bowls and LBW. With a high proportion of the dismissals in this game have been from straight balls.
Big shout, there is one of those straight deliveries. The finger has gone up. I'm sure that India will review. They do straight away. Wonder if that ball might well have struck Jasprit Bumrah outside the line. He's indicating that he thinks he's hit it as well.
I don't think he'd have a clue if he's hit it.
Play review for
It looks like he did though.
Original decision is out. It's a fair delivery. Spin vision, please.
Pad first, and this is out for me.
Yeah, nice and slow.
Right, so covered off it.
Yeah, roll it one more time. Yeah, clear deviation from the bat. On-field umpire on screen, please. It's in.
Listen to the noise. Listen to the noise. It's great.
Big inside edge. I'm sure it had a great deal going for it at all. I think even if it hadn't have been an inside edge, you would have been miles down the track and outside the line. Jack Leach just making one or two adjustments to the leg side field. Long on Jofra Archer, who perhaps has got his rubbers on, is on his way back towards the long on fence. And the crowd sensing that this partnership could be a crucial one in the context of this game. 53 overs gone now. India still 32 runs to the good. It's 144 for 9.
I'll tell you what, Army, you mentioned there about most wickets have fell to the ball that's gone straight on with the left-arm spinner throughout the game, hasn't it? Axar Patel and Jack Leach. But I think as this game goes on, I think we're going to find out it's going to be more turning and bouncing deliveries that take the wickets, with the close fielders coming into play.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but I actually still think the ball that goes straight on is the one that's going to get the most dismissals. I think players now have got this, and that's where England have got to get out the mindset of playing the turning ball. You know, the one thing about, you know, in India, if you can put that to one side. Kevin talked about it yesterday morning about the uneven bounce and stuff that was happening outside off stump. You can't control that. You know, that's not danger. It's when it's straight. That's what's danger, and I think that's what's happened in this game. When the ball has been straight, they've been playing for the turn because there has been lavish turn, and that's what's got them in trouble, and that's the mindset they've got to potentially get out of. Be very, very difficult. It's easy for a bowler to say that, especially on the surface that we've got.
Root is in to Ishant, who swipes towards the leg side. Hasn't made good contact with it. Crawley gets round very, very quickly. There's a run-out chance, but Joe Root fumbles the ball at the bowler's end. The throw came in hot from Zach Crawley, who had to turn and fling the ball towards the bowler's end against his body weight. The throw was a fierce one, but it just bounced a little bit too high, and Joe Root couldn't gather it cleanly. Ishant tried to come back for the second. He got halfway and realised that Bumrah had no interest whatsoever.
Wasn't even looking. Typical number 11, eh?
I just about to say that, as he talked about number 11 swiping and slugging and sweeping, but that was a number 11 running. And a number 11 dive as well. Ishant Sharma diving in. I tell you what this reminds me of. 2 weeks ago I took the kids sledging, and I'm going down, as you can imagine, I was going at quite a lick down there.
Well, you would do, wouldn't you?
Down there. There's a bit of weight on the butt of the sledge, and then all of the sledge comes away from you, and you just keep going. And that's what, you know, full of clarts, full of mud, all down the front in the shirt and the coat and the pants. And Ishant Sharma looks as though he's been playing in the mud for a few days.
Yeah, there is some moisture out there, just not very much of it on the 22 yards that we're playing on, because Ishant Sharma's shirt is covered in the dark, almost reddish soil that is to be found out there in Ahmedabad. The fumble from Joe Root actually had shades of Nathan Lyon trying to run out Jack Leach at Headingley a couple of years ago, with the ball kind of tried to gather it in with two hands and then swivel back towards the stumps, but unfortunately Joe Root couldn't hold on to it. The lead is 33 now, 145 for 9, and Bumrah is 1. Ishant is 10 from 20 deliveries. What a valuable 10 runs that might turn out to be for Ishant Sharma in his 100th Test match.
It is, Butch, and we're going to be really wary of this. England have done a great job this morning. They've been absolutely magnificent, but we can't let this last wicket develop and keep getting the odd run here and there. It's vital we dismiss them as soon as we can.
Yeah, 11 runs is the partnership now between Bumrah and Ishant. Root to Jasprit Bumrah, gets across his stumps, it's hit him on the back leg and the finger has gone up. Umpire Chowdhury says that's it. Joe Root has picked up his 5th wicket. There's no doubt whatsoever that India will review this one. There's no reason why they shouldn't. They have. Anil Chowdhury has gone upstairs, but I think that might be all she wrote with India's first innings score on 145. Let's have a listen.
Original decision is out. It's a fair delivery. Spin vision, please.
He's going for 5 for here, Joe Root.
Yeah, nice and slow. Clearly missed the bat. Ball tracking when ready, please. Yeah, building ball tracking.
making his way off the
Pitching in
ground. I think
line,
he's seen enough.
impact in line,
And indeed,
wicket hitting, on-field
it was
umpire on
a
screen,
review
please.
more in hope
Anil,
than
stay
expectation,
with
and
the
that is it.
decision.
Joe
You're on
Root
screen.
has
Give out, please.
a Test match 5-wicket haul. Quite remarkable. Waited until the left-handed Rishabh Pant had come to the crease before bringing himself into the attack for the very first time. And having done so, he finishes with the extraordinary figures of 5 wickets for 8 runs. 5 for 8, Joe Root. 6.2 overs, 3 maidens, 5 for 8.
Well, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, and we get it, Butch. We've talked about this, about what we want to see is Test cricket, good Test cricket between two teams fighting it down onto the 4th and 5th day. And what we've seen the last 2 Test matches, for me, and I've said it, and it upsets the Indian supporters, it's not acceptable. And what it might need is for it to go against India and for them to lose a Test match when you've got it turning and bouncing and taking a piece on day 1 of a Test match. Joe Root, a part-time off-spinner, has just taken 5 for 8 against arguably the best Test team in the world. Just think about that for a moment. 145 all-out India. England with a great chance of winning this Test match. Disappointing from India this morning, but Joe Root, 5 for 8. I'll say it again, Butch.
Yeah, I think we should just let that hang in the air for a little while. For all the England spin bowlers over the courses of long careers who have dreamt of figures such as those, Joe Root has just picked up 5 for 8 on a dust bowl in Ahmedabad. Let's go through the wickets to 40. In fact, no, let's go through the entire India batting card. Shubman Gill was the first to go. Crawley bowled Archer for 11. Pujara went shortly after that. LBW bowled Jack Leach for 0. Virat Kohli went just before the close last night, bowled by Jack Leach by way of a bottom edge for 27, and the score was 98. England had a lead of 13. Then this morning things were kept pretty tight. Jack Leach and James Anderson started off proceedings. Anderson trying to keep the faucet closed from one end while Leach worked his magic at the other. That magic worked because he dismissed Rahane, LBW, for 7 when the score was 114. India had a 2-run lead then. Rohit went the very next over. LBW again to Jack Leach, 66 for Rohit. He played quite beautifully before missing a sweep shot that hit him on the body in front of off stump. The score was 115 then. Then came the Joe Root show. Rishabh Pant into to the arena. He was dismissed, caught folks by Root. Very first ball that Joe Root bowled in the innings for 1. Score 117, lead 5. Washington Sundar, another left-hander, bowled Joe Root. Ball that pitched middle and leg and hit the top of off for 0. Score 125, lead 13. Axar went with the score on 125. Caught Sibley bowled Root, also for 0. Ashwin played pretty well, actually. Plays the spinners quite beautifully. He was caught by Crawley off the bowling of Root on the deep mid-wicket fence for 17 when the score was 134. And then Jasprit Bumrah was the last man to go. LBW essaying a crude-looking hack across the line to Joe Root for 1. The score 145. Ishant finished up 10 not out, and India have that lead of 33 and have been bundled out on this second morning for 145. Quite remarkable sessions play. Entertaining, absolutely. England are in the game, no doubt whatsoever. Is the Test match surface fit for Test match cricket? I say indisputably not. But there we go. Steve?
I'm 100% with you, Butch. Goffey's right, and that's not taking anything away from Joe Root. 5 for 8 off 6.2 overs in India in the first innings of a Test match. I think that tells you everything about the surface. And like I said, I don't want to be derogatory towards Joe because he bowled beautifully well, but you know, I think Goffey is spot on, 100% right. When you talk about India might have to come on the wrong side of this, on the wrong side of the result for the authorities really to have a look at the surface. Chennai's second test wasn't good enough. This Test match is not good enough. But one thing about the whole thing is, boy, does it make for an exciting game. Crowd in, wickets tumbling, difficult for batsmen. Nothing wrong with that, Darren, eh?
Oh no, listen, I'm all for exciting cricket, and it's been really exciting, the cricket we've had so far. But just feel we just got supporters back into the ground. It's got a stadium that holds 110,000. We're allowed 14 yesterday. There's probably going to be 14 at some point today, and that could be it. That could be it. And it's a pitch that's not acceptable for Test cricket. The ball has been turning and taking a piece of the pitch from day one for the second Test match running. They've had how long to prepare this pitch to play in a Test match in this beautiful stadium? Two great teams play, both of them with the chance of getting into the World Test Championship final against New Zealand. And we're in a situation now where 18 wickets in the first innings have fell to spin, and Joe Root again bowled beautiful, but 5 for 8 off 6.2 overs from a part-time spinner.
Yeah, and like I said before, it makes for good, good watching, exciting watching from the contest point of view. Is there fair between bat and ball? You'd say no. Is the pitch good enough? You'd say no. We've a lot of talk about tosses and team selections, and has the batting been good enough? At the end of the day, I'm 100% with you, and I'm 100% with you that the only way it's going to change is potentially India on the losing side of this Test match. And let's see how England go, because England now. You talk about momentums, where they were yesterday, mid-afternoon, 3 hours into the Test match, to where they are now in the game. Wow, they'll fancy their chances. Boy, will England fancy their chances.
Joining us, extraordinary morning, as extraordinary as you'd ever imagine. I think 7 wickets falling. India were 3 down overnight, and India have been bowled out for 145. Joe Root had figures of 5 for 8 with his off spin, and he was only really an afterthought. He didn't come on until late in the piece. So if you think that 6 for 38 from Akshar Patel in the first innings was impressive, how's Joe Root 5 for 8 with his off spinners in the second? All of this means that India have a lead of 33, precious runs indeed. You've just been hearing about the pitch. I don't think there's even an argument if 20 wickets have fallen before lunch on the second day. The pitch can't be good enough. You're talking about some of the best cricketers, well, many of the best cricketers in the world, and certainly one batsman on either side, if not a couple, amongst the greatest ever to play for their country, in Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and Joe Root and Ben Stokes. So there's a lot of high-class cricketers playing here, and the game is in freewheel. It's just extraordinary to watch. It is kind of fun in a sort of quirky way, and I'm not in any way denying the fact there's a level of entertainment here that's almost unparalleled. But I think Goffey's point about having 40,000 people in the ground and having cricket sort of back into an open space that can be accessed by anybody, and to see it so violently cut short, which is what it's almost certainly going to be, is a real shame. And as I said during my first stint of commentary, I cannot believe that the Gujarati Cricket Association will be happy with the pitch, and it's a pity, because this is a stunning stadium, 110,000 seater, 76 corporate boxes, decked out in state-of-the-art quality facilities, lovely outfield. There's a lovely vibe about the whole thing, and the match will be over too early.
And the worrying thing is, Mark, we've got another Test match starting in less than 10 days time on this same ground. So what sort of surface are we going to get after, and what we've had so far, Galle, Chennai, 2 back-to-back Test matches, the pitch in the sort of second Test match, and that was more spin friendly than the first pitch. And can they be more of a spin-friendly pitch than what we've just had down?
Well, saying that, England, like I say, you might take India to lose one of these tests when this, because you get a lot of the supporters come on here, I think we're criticising India. We're not criticising India. We're criticising the pitch conditions. It's not ideal. I'd be saying the same thing now if this was in England, in seeming wet conditions, and 20 wickets had fallen at this stage on day 2. It's not acceptable anywhere in the world. You want a good cricket pitch, a fair contest between bat and ball, a Test match going into day 4 at least. We're now not even at tea, which is lunch for us, but on day 2, and we're halfway through the game, and it's going quicker and quicker. I cannot see, if a team gets to 150, it'd be almost a miracle, wouldn't it? From here, if you get 150, it'd be a number. It'd be like 300.
if England get 150 lead, they'll feel as though they've got a great chance of winning this game, and that is something that's got to go round.
150 lead. That means getting 183.
Yeah, 183. You know.
Where are they coming from?
Well, it's going to have to come from the bat of either Joe Root or Ben Stokes, you've just mentioned. But how many times have we played in games? We've all played so many cricket matches where there's an innings of brilliance that goes and wins a game. We've got to hope that it's going to be the third innings.
Good call.
And it's
I'd buy into
potentially a Joe Root.
Yeah.
Sure.
It becomes a one-day game now where one player can actually affect the outcome of the game. And when we talk about the genius of Ben Stokes, and can we go a whole series without him standing up and putting a claim in? So far, this series, this winter, we've not seen much of Joe Root. Of Ben Stokes.
We've had an 80. Is
this the game? Yeah, but is this the game where it could change? His 80 didn't affect the result of that game when he got his 80. It was other people. You know what I mean?
The problem he's had, Goffey, is he's not setting up right for the spinners, isn't he? He got himself very open and left-shouldered when he's lining the ball up wrong. So he's actually not defending very well against spin.
But he's been caught in two minds to Ashwin as well.
So he'll be a lot better off taking it on.
I think
he'll
he
get
will
himself in a much better position to play the ball if he does.
I think he will take it on. And if you look at his score of 80, how he did get it, he came in when the score was comfortable, he got runs on the board, and he played with freedom, and he played some shots, and he got, let's say, he got his 80.
And he tried in the first innings here. He did. He come down a wicket, cloth one. He looked as though he was going to be trying to be forceful. But there is something in that defence, like you mentioned, Mark, that shoulders coming in, the hips going across. And actually, I think India have bowled very, very well to Ben Stokes from an angle point of view and put pressure on him.
Oh, they're very good bowlers, these guys. But KP made the point, didn't he, this morning, that it's easier said than done, attacking spin. If people can really bowl, if they don't offer you bad balls, they keep landing it in the right area, and we've seen the amount of natural variation, never mind imparted variation. It's not easy. So I think one has some sympathy there. We were critical of England yesterday because they didn't play well enough, and you made the point that they simply weren't technically strong enough against a turning ball. But we're now seeing just how difficult it is.
But still, they had the better conditions to bat. And when you look at it now, it should have been, the score should have kind of been the other way around, shouldn't they? Realistically, if India would have. If England would have got what India got batting first, it could have been a match-winning score.
Let's be thankful for small mercies.
Yeah, well, we're still in the game. We talked about it this morning, you know.
Yeah.
Positivity is, but Zach Crawley came on here yesterday, talked to you, Mark, and he talked about, hang on a minute, we can dismiss India for around 160, didn't he? They were his exact words. We thought realistically 200. That's what India will be looking for. If they can get to 200, they'll feel as though they're going to win the game. But now, England, it becomes a one-innings match and got a great chance of winning the series. But they've got to play unbelievably well. It's going to take one player. It's going to take a group effort to actually get runs on the board, or one individual who takes it to India and plays an absolutely match-winning innings.
Just got a question for you here. It occurs to me that this break has gone on longer than 10 minutes. So maybe...
Took an early tea.
Well, we have it confirmed now. Okay, they have taken tea.